Parry, you're a plank.
Yeah, I am a plank.
Diverting late-night football conversation for prostitutes.
How dare you!
Chronic back pain sufferers.
Done the old back again.
And security guards who haven't quite nodded off yet. Wake up! The Michaels, Graham and Parry on Talk Sport. For when two mics are better than one.
You and your time obsession always kills off the programme.
Well, it's nothing to do with that. It's because you spent so much time slagging me off for my alleged bad habit.
There's nothing wrong with me at all, except for you trying to upbraid me on the simplest words.
See, I wish they would record that. I've always said that. There is nothing wrong with me at all. You've just heard it here on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, and I'm delighted to say that I'm about to introduce to you one of the men who is responsible for broadcasting revolution in this country, Mr. Mike Porky Parry, who's about to tell us exactly how much he makes every year. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Good morning, Mike. Thank you
you
very much indeed. This, of course, is a play on the fact that the BBC salaries are being released today.
Yes.
Yeah?
Some people think it's a shocking a dereliction of duty by the BBC. Some people think it's a terrible betrayal of personal and private information. I think if we're as honest and open as everybody is at the BBC, we'll have no problems.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any reason why anybody who earns money should have to tell everybody else how much they earn.
Well, they should if they work for the BBC.
Well, the BBC...
And they should if they're MPs, and they should if they work in the public sector.
I agree with all that. Public corporation, all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see. That will spark a fantastic sort of in-office revolution, won't it, where everybody will be hating each other.
Oh, yeah.
I was reading only over the weekend the history of Radio 1 DJ.
Oh, yeah.
Now, apart from the really bad eggs like Jimmy Savile, you know what I mean?
Well, let's not talk about him.
We're not going to talk about him at all. There were others, you know, like sort of Noel Edmonds and...
Well, Johnny Walker's still there, isn't he?
Johnny Walker's still there. Tony Blackburn.
In fact, I heard him over the weekend. I put the radio on and I was, dancing around the dial as you do. And I heard this voice. And he said, and it's Johnny Walker here. And I went, what?
He's still going,
He's still
alive,
going. Amazing.
John Peel, he had a few sort of strange allegations made against him and all that kind of stuff.
He's dead, he can't answer
that's
those.
Right, But anyway, it did the usual, and you see it in every organisation. John Peel hated Simon What's-His-Name, Simon What's-His-Name hated Blackburn.
Simon D.
Yeah, no, Simon
Bates.
Bates, that's right, and then and this guy hated that guy. Now, it was all that about, who's the best DJ, all that kind of stuff.
It's not like it is at Talk Sport, where everybody gets on terribly well.
Everybody gets on terribly well.
We all get on
great
well
friends. We all get on well.
Yeah, and everyone's pretty much paid the same here.
Pretty much paid the same. We all support each other's aspirations.
I'll tell you what I'm really pleased about. George Galloway returning to the daytime airwaves.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I mean, he said some bad things about Julie Hartley-Brewer, who's an old friend of yours.
I thought that was not nice.
You've taken her out a few times. She's a lovely woman. And she does a great show, but while she's away on holiday, George Galloway is covering for her.
Yes.
You, who I do not know, has besmirched me on national radio.
Yeah.
You will be hearing from my lawyers. He's a great man.
He is a great guy.
He's on at 10 o'clock every morning.
He is, but I thought it was a vicious barb against Julie Hartley-Brewer.
Well, I'm sure she can take it.
But I mean, you shouldn't have colleagues, sort of piling in on each other like that.
No,
but anyway, that's by the by.
Giving each other a hard time.
No, don't give each other a hard time.
That's not good. No, because we talk about money, right? Now, Ross Barkley's on the back page, and I know that people say to me all the time, can you please stop talking about Everton?
Yeah, well, I don't talk about it.
Drive us all mad, right? But we did when we were down at the O2 on Saturday.
Yes.
Magnificent day out.
Yes.
Where we watched the Star Sixes.
Yes.
France won it, of course.
That's right.
With your good mate Olivier Giroud playing. Otherwise known as Olivier Dacour. All of the, more or less, every single professional footballer we talked to was at one point or other an Everton player.
An Everton connection.
But because it's on the back pages, I have to mention it. The Mirror this morning has on the back page, Barkley bids to break the bank. Ross tells Spurs, make me your £150 a week, I presume £150,000 a week top earner.
That's right.
Now, Ross Barkley, one, I don't think he's going to get that from Spurs, but two, we expect to know everything about how much footballers make, so why shouldn't we expect to know exactly what people who talk about football should make?
Yeah, well, I totally agree with that, the BBC. The Ross Barkley thing, I just can't understand. I don't know who's managing this boy, but the arrogance of Ross Barkley, who couldn't get into the Everton team at the end of last season.
And he hasn't even made it on the trip to the to the pre-season tour, right?
That's right, which is now back in Holland, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, they've been out to
they went to
Africa.
Tanzania.
Yeah.
Then they went on, I think, to Thailand or wherever, did they?
No, they stayed in Africa and then come back, to Holland,
Okay.
But the issue is that his representative has gone to Spurs and said, well, Ross will come and join you. You've got to make him your best player.
Yeah.
Well, how can you possibly run a squad if you're being told that you've got to promote the pay package of Ross Barkley above that of Harry Kane.
Yes.
Because Harry Kane's the England captain now.
That's not going to happen.
Of course it's not going to happen. Not unless Harry Kane says, oh, well, OK, I don't mind you paying Ross Barkley 150, but you'll pay me 200.
Yeah.
In which case you've got a revolution in the dressing room.
Sure.
So that doesn't make any sense at all.
No.
Now, you wanted to know what I've been doing while I've been off air.
Well, because some people were concerned yesterday
Yes.
that your what appeared to be incredibly lengthy bladderation session,
No.
which appeared to go on for hours and hours and hours.
No, there wasn't one.
No bladderation?
No.
So can you describe your day yesterday to us?
My day yesterday was spent... well, it's a difficult situation. You know, I've had terrible back trouble and sciatica. So
I've heard you've got sciatica.
Yeah, so my chiropractor recommended I get a...
What's your chiropractor's name?
Chris.
Chris?
Yeah, yeah. Don't know what his second name is.
Chris the chiropractor?
Yeah, Chris
you
the
don't know
chiro.
who he is?
No, I don't know. Well, I don't know what his second name is. So anyway, he says best thing you can do is get yourself an exercise bike.
All right.
So I acquire an exercise
Well, hang
bike.
on. You had an exercise bike offered to you by your family.
Yes.
At least 2 years ago.
That's right.
And you decided not to ever erect it.
It was too big.
Right.
Send
So
it
what have
back.
you done with that? You sent it back?
Send it back.
Okay.
It was the size of a couch. I mean, it was also could fold down into a rowing machine, all that kind of stuff. You know, it's huge.
What, an exercise
thing.
bike that
Yeah.
folds down? What was it?
Yeah.
Transformer
Yeah, it was.
exercise
yeah,
bike?
it was. It was like a transfer exercise bike. Anyway,
Incredible.
so he said, just get one of these that you sit on. He said, you get one from Argus for about 150 quid.
Yes.
I said, okay. But then he said, but look, he said, go onto eBay and you'll get a cheaper version, second hand. Well, I don't deal with second hand stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
you want a new one?
Yeah, a new one.
So how much do you spend on it?
I think it was about 190 quid.
Oh, that's not bad.
So I
mean, you'd spend more than that one sort of session in a pub, wouldn't you?
No, I wouldn't. I don't know what you keep going on about this for.
Well, you would.
I mean, why are you... I'm going to tell you what I was doing yesterday. It was a million miles away from a bladderation session.
All right, well, tell us then.
So the housekeeper goes and gets it,
Right.
and gets the... and it's incredibly heavy.
The housekeeper?
Yeah.
You send her to get it?
Yeah, I did.
This is yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah.
Okay.
Now, no, she went and got it on... Our August open on Sunday.
Well, I don't know.
No, I know.
I mean, they normally are, yeah.
Yeah,
They're
I
open
think
7
she
days
got
a
it
week.
on Sunday.
Of
Anyway,
course.
it took 3 people to carry it to her car.
Yeah.
And it then took, another 2 people to transfer it into my car when I got to her place. You see what I mean?
So you drove to her place?
Yes.
She brought the thing to her place
Yes.
from Argus?
Yes.
Why didn't you just go to Argus?
I didn't want to buy it because I don't know anything about Argus. Apparently
Okay.
you have to queue up and...
No, you don't.
No,
what
you
can
can't
do-
see what you're buying,
Have you ever heard
can
of
you?
click and collect?
No, I haven't, no.
Well, what you can do is go online,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you can buy the thing, pay for it online.
Yeah.
And then you can say, instead of them delivering it to you,
Yes.
you go, I will collect it.
Right, okay.
And you nominate the place where you want to collect it from, and you
I
go
see.
click and collect, and it's very easy.
Excellent. That sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
So anyway, I now have this this bike. It's incredibly heavy.
Yes.
And trying to get it out of the car, I put my back out again, and that's a bit of an ironic situation.
It is a bit of an
I
ironic
bought
situation.
it to make my back better.
Yes.
However. I eventually worked out how to get it into my property because
Yeah.
I'm smarter than the average bear.
Right.
Instead of trying to take it whole in a box, which is incredibly heavy,
Yeah.
like a concrete block,
Yes.
about the size, I would say, of a small sideboard, actually. That's how big
well,
it is.
because also you've got to carry it up the last flight of stairs in
This
your
is
place.
exactly
haven't you?
what I'm saying.
Because your lift only goes up to
That's
the
right.
floor below you.
That's right, absolutely. So guess what I did, because I'm brilliant. What would you have done?
I would have made sure that somebody delivered it to me and put it into my place so that I didn't have to carry it.
Well, you see, I'm more clever than that.
No, you're not.
I took a knife down to my car.
A knife?
And slashed open the box.
Uh-huh.
And then I took the pieces out one at a time and took
Really?
them upstairs.
What do you mean the pieces?
Well, because it comes in
it's
kit
an
form.
exercise bike. How many pieces can it be in?
Well, it can be in like the pedal pieces,
Pedals.
the handlebar pieces,
Handlebars.
the wheels, all
Wheels.
that kind of stuff.
How many
you know what I
wheels
mean?
has it got?
Well, it's got one wheel in the middle that the pedals are attached to. You know what I mean? And
Well, why has it got any wheels at all? It shouldn't have any wheels.
well, it has. It's got a wheel. 'cause
No, it
it
should have a
turns.
chain.
Yeah,
right?
chain. It's got a chain.
No, it's not
that's
a
right.
wheel.
Yeah, well, it's a sort of thing, you know.
Right, okay.
And I got that. So I spent all day yesterday constructing that, and I've
I
taken
see.
pictures of it in part construction, full construction, and finally me on the exercise bike.
Uh-huh.
And I think you'll find it, it'll be a sequence of pictures
Well, I'm
which
looking
people
forward
will
to see those
roundly
pictures.
applause.
Because there are no pictures from yesterday of you putting this thing together.
Well, there will be.
All I could find yesterday, a series of tweets of abuse against me.
Well, that's because, you see, you were being anti-royalist, and that gets on my wick.
No. You issued a statement in which you said,
Yes.
I'm sure that I would like to issue, on behalf of myself and MG,
Yes.
happy birthday to Camilla Parker Bowles.
Yes, that's right, who's our future
To which
queen.
I said, one, don't please speak for me in any matter of state.
Yes.
And two, calm down.
Yes.
To which I get from you, I've been carrying Loaf-Face around on my back for at least 10 years.
Yes.
He'd be a penniless bum without me. In fact, he already is. Ha ha. This message sent at 17:37.
Oh, that was quite funny, don't you?
Well, it was quite funny, but I would put it to you that you had been drinking before you sent that.
No, I was well irritated at my lack of specialist knowledge in putting exercise bikes together.
Right.
It's been quite frustrating. Apart from that, no, I can assure you not.
How about this one from 1751?
Yeah.
6 minutes earlier. Why don't you get back to your table for X number of wives and children you've abandoned, you half-bake?
Well, that's because you'd sent out your usual refrain to me, table for one, which you think is a very funny little rip-off.
Well, I just said I'm not a sycophant.
Yeah.
You know.
And then table for one, yeah?
A table for one, yes.
You see, so you can insult me, that's okay. You say that's fair and all that, but then when I give you a bit back, you get all upset.
Earlier on, at 17:16, about half an hour earlier, go push your face into a loaf, fatso.
Yes.
And if you're not a Republican, then join me. Happy birthday, Lady Camilla.
Yes.
Let's hear it.
Yes.
I mean, a shocking...
Why didn't I hear that? Why didn't I hear it?
Because it's not the place... if you want to wish Camilla a happy birthday, that's entirely your affair.
Exactly.
I do not wish to get involved in that sort of sycophancy.
Is that right?
And if I decided I did want to wish her a happy birthday, I would not do it in conjunction with you.
Right, okay. So you want to be sort of independent on that, do you?
I do.
Yes, okay.
Here's another one from 1600. If there's one thing I can't stand on Mondays, it's a fat Scottish Republican royal family hater who ignores the £10 billion worth of Chaz and Camilla.
That's right, yeah.
Well, that was pretty uncalled for.
That was the estimated worth in
It's in the time, by the way.
That's the estimated worth in tourism terms of the royal family of this country, about 10 billion quid a year.
None of them are coming to see Camilla and Charles. Trust me on that one.
They do. They come to see all that sort of stuff.
Really?
You know?
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, did you get a nice message from Camilla saying thanking you for wishing her a happy birthday?
No, I wouldn't expect one, would I? Wouldn't expect
one.
one.
I don't know. If you're born to serve, that's entirely up to you. It's all very good.
See, so Nick Faldo was 60 yesterday, by the way.
Funnily enough, we've got some Nick Faldo news to bring you.
Yes,
because he's on the back pages this morning. We've got lots to do. We've got Ask Porky, of course. If you've never had a problem solved live on air by Porky, now's the time to do it. We're running slightly late. We've also got heroes and villains coming up as well. We're going to have to pick what we're going to do for the Porky quiz at the end of the week as well. This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mics.
The Two Mics. Simulcast across the UK on TalkSport and Talk Radio.
There's nothing left to talk about unless it's horizontally. Let's get physical. I wanna get physical. Let's get into physical. Let me hear your body talk.
This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mics. You can tweet us at the Two Mics, of course, at IROMG and at Mike Parry 8. Paul says 10 minutes into the show and Porky brings his bad back up again, carrying his bike out of the car. Hilarious.
Yeah.
And Becky in New
Wasn't
Zealand
hilarious.
says exercise bike. Get Porky on a real bike. There's plenty of good cycle lanes and super cycle highways across London.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it will be my protest against the cost of them, I'm telling
Really?
you. Yeah, not interested.
Oh, well.
Yes.
Western says, today's already off to a better start than yesterday as I'm walking to the office in Hong Kong with the Two Mics on.
Excellent. Well done. That's good. Good place,
And there's
Hong
a
Kong.
picture of Hong
Never
Kong.
been there, but I'm
where
sure
he's
it
walking.
is.
You've never been to Hong Kong? I'm
No, I've
surprised.
never been to Hong Kong.
I thought you had been.
No, you haven't either. Have you?
I haven't, no.
No, exactly.
We may have to go and do a show there.
Well, I think you're right.
By the way, we should say that the streaming for the show in New York has taken on a new sort of element, I suppose you might say.
A new energy.
A new energy, because a lot of people are signing up for it because we were off in Soho on Thursday night filming a load of stuff.
We were.
And if you are now signed up to the live streaming Two Mics experience, as it's called, you will start to get a whole load of exclusive video content.
And it's very good stuff, by the way.
It's not bad.
I've seen it through, and it's great.
Well, you were actually involved in it.
I was involved in it,
so it's not so much as you seeing it through.
I saw the edited versions later, and that's very good indeed. I'm very pleased with that.
Well, the rushes, as they call it.
It's a bit rock starish, isn't it, to say we're going off to Soho to one of the biggest post-production companies in the world.
Well, Some people would be envious of that because it's called envy, isn't it?
Yeah, to get some material out for our show in New York in September. It's all good stuff.
It's all very good stuff. How about this from Matt? He says, as he's so short, the Porky exercise bike is probably a trike raised up in the air on a couple of house bricks.
Oh, ha, 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 ha. That's very amusing. Thank you very much indeed. Don't bother contacting us
don't
again.
bother, yeah.
You jerk.
Does Porky's exercise bike have stabilisers, says Pete? I'm sorry to read these out.
No,
but,
read them out, read them
these
out.
are coming in, 10 to the dozen.
That's absolutely fine.
And Freddie Jones says, the only average bear the fat oaf Parry is smarter than is Danny Bear.
Yes.
I used to like Danny Bear.
Danny Bear, the lady
Danny
presenter?
Bear? Yeah.
Bear, B-A-E-R.
No,
yeah.
B-E-H-R.
B-E-A... No, it wasn't.
It was B-E-H-R, yes it was.
No, it wasn't
Yes,
B-A-E-R.
it was.
But anyway, what's she done?
It was B-E-H-R.
What's she done?
Well, she hasn't done anything, but Freddie says the only average bear the fat oaf Parry is smarter
I
than
see.
is Danny Bear.
Danny Bear.
She was actually quite an intelligent girl, I thought.
Really? Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
take your word for it. Can't remember it very well.
You don't remember Danny Bear?
Did you see the video today of the Liverpool players getting on the bus?
Yes, I did.
No,
Is this
I mean-
the one about where they're not signing any
Yeah,
autographs?
I thought it was very unfair.
James
because
Milner signs one at the end.
Well, one or two of them signed on the way onto the bus, but James Milner stepped aside
Yeah.
and did it. But so many of them just waved the fans away and said, no, no, no. And it gave a bad impression, but... In fairness, somebody said, condemn this, Mike, Everton wouldn't... I said, well, you don't know the circumstances. The manager might have asked them not to respond, or even the hotel. The hotel might have said, look, we don't encourage fans into the grounds, please don't sign.
Or the security people might
Or
have said
security
something.
people, absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
it's very difficult,
Yeah.
I think, for anyone to have a go at footballers for not signing autographs.
Yes.
I mean, you and I have both seen in various guises footballers arriving at football grounds.
That's right.
We were down at Bournemouth when Everton got off the coach.
Yes.
You were down there sort of waving at Martinez as he was coming off.
That's right.
And I think he waved back at you. But the players who are kind of in the zone,
Yes.
many of them have got headphones on.
Yeah.
They're walking into the ground because they're thinking about playing the game.
Yeah.
And they don't stop to sign autographs.
No, I don't-
Now, are you going to give them a hard time for that? I don't think you should.
No, I'm not. But these guys were coming out of their hotel, and it's pre-season and all that. So I know some of the fans, you never know, might have travelled to see them or something like that.
Yeah, but they're on a
so-
tight schedule, aren't they?
Yeah, they're on tight schedule. That's what I mean. I'm not being judgmental.
I think the fans expect too much if they expect them to stop and sign autographs
Yeah, you may
as
well
they're
be
getting
right.
on a coach.
We should blame it all on Harry Redknapp because he's so
Why?
amenable to stopping at the entrance to his training ground all the time.
I mean, we saw
Winter
Rod
comes
Stewart
down,
putting
and,
up with it. I mean, Rod Stewart
yeah.
was very, very affable with an awful lot of people.
Yes.
But when we went up to Scotland and we got to Celtic Football Ground
Yes.
before the cup final, the semi-final
Yes.
was at Hampden, and he sat down to have some breakfast at the table with
Yeah.
us. And this woman came up and said, "Oh, Rod, I love
Yes,
you.
she did, yeah.
Can you sign?" And he said, "Look, not my love. I'm
Yeah.
having breakfast."
That's right, yeah.
Which is perfectly normal.
Of course it is, of
Because he
course
was
it
trying
is.
to have his breakfast.
Of course it is.
Now, I saw him plenty of times in the ground, signing autographs, posing
Yeah,
the
yeah,
pictures, but you can't do it all the time.
No, you can't. No, I totally agree.
You know.
So I'm not blaming the Liverpool fans at
I
all.
don't think you can.
No.
I think that's a pretty disgraceful suggestion of yours that we should blame them.
No, I didn't say that.
Didn't you? Okay.
Excuse me, I said the other. I said, remember, they might have been told not to, security, hotel.
Yeah.
People might have said, please don't do
Exactly.
it. No.
As long as you weren't having to go to Liverpool, because people would think that was wrong.
No. I was
Does
not-
Porky live in another century? Says Joe. Why doesn't he know anything about Argos? And why did he send his housekeeper? What is this, the 1900s?
No, not 1900. It's just called running your life efficiently. That's
I
all
see.
it's called, okay?
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Jolly good. Now, we've got lots coming up in the next few days. We've
Yeah.
got the Porky quiz, which we'll have to discuss as to what it should be about.
You're right
We've got
about
the
this,
Open.
you're right about the BBC thing.
The BBC
one,
thing is
one
massive.
newspaper tomorrow morning. Pay panic at the BBC.
Yes.
Meltdown as Dossie names 100 staff on more than the PM.
Yes.
Only a third are women. Bosses tried to have report delayed. Top names warned they face public backlash. So tomorrow, as all these presenters at the BBC are going into work, there'll be
Yeah.
crowds lining Oxford Street going, boo.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the trouble is, right, I mean, most ordinary people in the world couldn't care less
No.
how much Gary Lineker has
No.
paid, how
No.
much Stephen Nolan has
That's
paid.
right, yeah.
Stephen Nolan, by the way, somebody who's tweeted me, is on $500,000 a year.
$500,000?
I'm not sure that's true.
Crikey, that's a
I
lot
don't
of
think
money.
I don't think that's true.
It's-
I've also
yeah.
seen memes today on Gary Lineker saying that he is paid the equivalent of 45 nurses' salaries.
Who is?
Gary Lineker,
Gary-
which of
is
course
he?
is going to hurt him massively
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he's a guy that likes to fight on behalf of the little guy.
Well,
Unless the little guy happens to work for Walker's Crisps. of course.
I don't resent anybody earning any money at all. You make your own deal in life, and if you know your worth and your employers are prepared to pay it, then you've done a good deal. So,
Well, that's true up to a point.
I say it's
Well, that's true.
everybody's individual
That's
right.
True. That's true up to a point, right?
Yeah.
However, when it comes to the BBC, which of course is a rival of TalkSport, we're
Yes.
not knocking it for that reason.
Yes.
But the BBC is run like a public service corporation because it is run by,
Yes.
in effect, the taxpayer.
Yes.
And they have an awful lot of
No,
money
I
at
agree
their
with that.
disposal, and they waste an awful lot of money.
Yeah, but
and they pay an awful lot of money to people to do things which they shouldn't be paying them for.
But if they want to be a credible broadcasting organisation at all, they've got to have some stars, and stars have to be paid better
That's
money.
true.
It's as simple as that.
That's fine.
But, I mean, they are excessive. I mean, old Jonathan Ross, brother of our colleague Paul Ross,
breakfast
Talk
show
Radio
host on Talk
yeah.
Radio, yes.
I mean, he was getting $6 million a year
Right.
for doing not very much,
Yeah.
actually, you
Right.
know, which is a most amazing
Yeah.
sort of pay packet. I mean, you know, there's a lot of footballs in this country don't get $6 million a year.
No,
so,
exactly.
So that was pretty terrific.
I mean, and that is
Yeah.
the thing. I mean, you know, money is all relative. However,
Yes.
I think people have a right to know precisely what the transparency scenario is at the BBC because it is our money.
That's
How
right.
about this from Craig? Should I pay $500 to see Paul McCartney when I'm in New York to see your show in September? Well, I mean, you can see our show for an awful lot less than $500.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
And I mean, maybe the money you save by seeing our show,
That's right.
You could use to spend to go and see Paul McCartney's show. It's up to you.
That's right. What's great about our show is that we have a VIP package, okay?
That's entirely true.
And there's a clamour for the VIP package. Do you know why?
Why?
They get close up to the two mics.
That's true, yeah. Very close. I mean, there is.
What a thrill.
There are
Yeah.
some. I would say to some people, you don't want to be too close.
No.
Now, I'm told here by one of our correspondents, Stephen. MG's right again. Porky, you are a plank because he sent a picture of Danny Bear.
Oh, yes.
Who was a rather good-looking woman. you'd
Lovely
have to say.
woman. What's happened to her?
What do you mean? What's happened to her?
What does she do now?
I don't know what she does now.
No, well, I mean,
I haven't
you
seen
know,
her on TV for quite a few years.
Trying to big her up, you should know. By the way, talk about honeymoons that evaporate so quickly.
Honeymoons?
Yeah, Joe Root, the New England captain.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
There's another picture of Danny Bear.
Oh, she's a lovely girl, isn't
Yeah, she is, yeah.
Yeah, super. Well, he got smashed to pieces in the second test against South Africa, and he's been blamed for being, you know, a captain with no
Yes.
vision because he's been telling his team,
I
get
think
in
it's
there.
a bit harsh, isn't it?
Well, no, apparently his view is attack, 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 attack.
Well, maybe she should be playing for
attack,
Manchester United.
Attack,
Isn't
yeah.
Isn't that their mantra?
But yeah, I think it is, yeah. And so all these batsmen are going out there to attack, attack, attack.
Yeah.
And they're getting smack, smack, smack.
Well, hang on. I mean, I prefer
And then
to
they're
take...
back
Well,
in
hang
the
on.
pavilion.
I prefer to take the view of Kevin Peterson. Kevin
Yes.
Peterson, who is, as you know, a man who has a knowledge of South African cricket.
Yes.
Some would say he's actually a South African.
Probably too knowledgeable about South African cricket.
Well,
some
I mean,
would
you know,
say.
he's had a bit of history with the old South Africans,
Yes,
right? And
yes.
passing messages to them and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
He said in a tweet after the disgraceful kind of situation yesterday.
Yeah.
He said, "Well, how about we just accept that South Africa were a better team on the day
Yep.
and during the whole test,
Yep.
and we move on."
That's right.
And England were just outplayed by a better team.
Yeah.
And move on. And I think that's
Yeah.
a very sensible way to look at it. Instead of doing this ridiculous
Yeah.
kind of, you know, post-mortem.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, Joe Root,
Inquisition.
what an idiot.
Yes.
After being a hero in the first test. It's one test apiece.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes in the third test.
Yeah, well, the thing is that, you know, Michael Vaughan. Now, Michael Vaughan's a pal of mine, you know,
Is
former
he?
England captain.
Pal of
Yes.
yours?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
When was the last time you spoke to him?
not that long ago.
Really?
Spoke to him on the phone, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
Seen the time, by the way.
and they now Joe Root and Michael Vaughan come from the same
They're good
boys,
mates, aren't
the same boys Sheffield Cricket Club, okay?
Yeah.
Bit like Wallsend Boys Club for football in the North East.
I
you know?
see.
And they come from this very famous Sheffield Cricket Club.
Oh, yeah.
They've been mates for years. Michael Vaughan's been a mentor to him, but he was highly critical of
Oh, yeah,
Joe
that's his
Root's
job,
captaincy.
though. That's his job.
He said that he couldn't believe the tactics he'd employed, and he went out and then did that. And then Joe Root said,
Well,
"No,
he
I
said
don't
they
believe
showed
it."
no respect for the test.
That's right. No respect for the traditions
for the
of
test
match
tradition,
cricket.
yes.
Yeah,
Which is
And-
tantamount to saying, basically, they weren't trying.
well, no, I think it's basically tantamount to saying they were reckless. I don't think he's accused them of not trying. I think they were just reckless and smacked the ball all over the place, you know.
Yes.
And Joe Root said, I don't believe he said that, but he did. So it just shows you when you're the captain, you've got to lead from the front. And when you're leading from the front, you've got to get your decisions right.
Yes.
If you don't get your decisions right, then you have to take the responsibility and fall on your sword.
Well, I don't think he should be falling on his sword. He's lost one test. He's won one test. Let's move on to the third one. This is TalkSport.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
A terrific performance.
Turn of pace and eye for goal.
Shout about it.
Talk Sport.
Madness, they call it madness. Madness,
is TalkSport. We are the two Mikes. KT says this shows how out of touch you two are. If you think the public don't care about the BBC salaries, Stephen Nolan makes Parry sound like Paxman. Well, I mean, you have to be careful, KT, about jumping to the wrong conclusion. We haven't yet seen the list of names or the amounts of money, so it'd be unfair to single out one person.
That's right.
How about this one from Muad, who says, how much is Claire Balding on? Well, we don't know. We don't until we see the numbers and the figures. We have no idea what anybody's
Claire
on.
Balding is now so popular. She works about 3 or 4 different
She
organisations.
also works for
anyway.
BT Sport, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. Yeah. Now, listen. I want to just point out, please, and I've just put this out now as a tweet, or just about to.
Okay.
Once again, I'm way ahead of the game on these electric cars.
Oh yeah.
Electric car chargers could be switched off remotely or turned down by energy companies if owners refuse to use them at off-peak times.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the fact that when you think you're charging up your electric car, and I'll show you a picture there. Look, see?
Oh, yeah. Did you see my picture, by the way, from the O2, where there's one whole side of the car park when I was parked there on Saturday, which is put out for electric cars.
Yeah.
Another picture that came in over the weekend of a guy who's at a service stop in a very busy motorway service station.
Yeah.
A whole side of the car park put aside for electric cars. Yeah. It's happening, man. You can't get away from it.
It's all gone mad. Let me just finish this, please,
go on.
before you're so rudely interrupted.
Sorry.
Electric car chargers could be switched off remotely or turned down by energy companies if owners refuse to use them at off-peak times. UK Power Networks, which delivers electricity to 18 million people in London, the South East and the East of England, is calling for the right to remotely control vehicle charging as a last resort to prevent power cuts. Forecasts suggest that electric vehicles could increase peak demand far beyond the level that existing power stations can generate.
This is all the same story.
No, it's not. And cable networks can transmit. That is the first time in print that my prognosis...
Yes.
My prognosis that there's not enough electricity in this country to run electric cars is absolutely accurate and correct.
No, it's not. It's more pie in the sky. It's more scaremongering.
It's not.
And it's all about what is going on right now as opposed to what will happen in the future.
No, we don't generate enough electricity.
Another story which I will tell you about later on in the show, which I was also tweeted at earlier on today, about how Porsche are going to stop making petrol and diesel run cars and they're only going to start selling electric cars from about 3 years hence.
Yeah, this will all collapse in
No, it won't.
in a nightmare.
It won't.
Hey, the
Absolutely
other
not.
thing,
By the way, Stephen sent us a very nice picture of Danny Bear saying this is what she's doing now. What do you think, Porky?
Let's have a look.
And it's an interview with her from LA where she says, I was a TV presenter. She was apparently the ex-girlfriend of Ryan Giggs.
Yes.
She's now working as a real estate agent in California and Los Angeles.
Well, if she's in California and Los Angeles and looks as good as that, she should still be a TV presenter, in my view.
What do you mean looks as good as that?
Well, she looks fantastic.
Well, she does, but, you know, maybe she's considered to be maybe too old for TV in
passé
LA.
or something like
Or
that.
passé. And also, I mean, she maybe prefers what she's doing now.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
She was also Les Ferdinand's girlfriend.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can imagine that, can't you, in footballing circles.
What-
hey, the
what
other
does
thing
that
about...
mean?
Hey?
What does that mean?
Well,
you can imagine that in footballing circles.
Well, you know, footballers date good-looking girls. It's as simple as that.
Yes.
Now, the other great scandal which could be emerging around cars is what you and I were discussing over the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
£38 billion worth of money is owed to car leasing companies, and this is almost the equivalent of the crash that came upon us because people couldn't pay back their mortgages.
I'm told...
Are they going to be able to pay back their car leasing charges?
I'm told, and you may be able to back this up by people you've spoken to, that the biggest amount of money now which is loaned out...
Yes.
It used to be mortgages. It used to be
right.
people were worried about what would happen if mortgages collapsed and house prices fell. Now, apparently, it's car rentals.
It is.
And
it's
car leasing and car purchasing.
That's right. It's 38 billion quid's worth.
Incredible, isn't it?
And the thing is, I looked at some specific examples. People who are earning, like $12,500 a year are being told, no, you can have a £30,000 car, no problem at all.
Yeah, get yourself... Well, the A-Class Mercedes is the latest one, which people are going, oh, blimey, everyone can have an A-Class Mercedes. You see how many people are driving them?
No.
They're all sort of souped up.
Yeah.
And also, if you get one, I think they start at something like, I don't know, £20,000.
Yes.
But you can end up spending about $35,000 on them with all the various bells and whistles that you get on them. And you've got people who are not making anything like that kind of money.
No.
Because I think the rule of thumb should be, should it not, that you shouldn't really be paying for a car or driving a car that costs, say, more than twice your salary.
Or your annual income.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. Well, that's the way they used to work mortgages out until they got to the stage where they were lending people 5 times their income to buy a house.
Right.
Now they're going to be doing that soon.
What's the ratio for cars?
Well, the ratio for cars is there's not a fixed ratio. You fill in these great long forms, and you have to do all this about outgoings and all that kind of stuff.
But nobody pays any attention to that.
No, well, I wouldn't have thought so. No, but I mean that could be the next problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just put out this tweet about the fact that I'm once again Portmeister way ahead of the game.
Oh yeah.
You know, electricity crisis.
How are you way ahead of the game?
Electricity crisis. Electric cars. Electricity. I spelled electricity wrong.
You can't just read out a load of old rubbish.
No, not.
You know, this is a radio show which people are hanging on your every word.
Yes, that's
Would
right.
you mind putting some research in, please?
Yeah, I do all the time. Now, talking about research, by the way, just to look forward to the week and the week ahead, the quiz this week on Thursday night, Friday morning will in fact be...
What will it be?
It won't be on any particular subject.
Won't it? What will it be on then?
I've forgotten the name of the game now.
Trivial Pursuit.
Trivial Pursuit.
You want
that's
a Trivial
right,
Pursuit game?
Yeah, Trivial Pursuit game, yes,
But
definitely.
you don't normally do very well on those, though. In fact, people don't like the Trivial Pursuit games. I think they prefer it when you nominate an actual subject.
Right, okay. Now then, I have something to tell you.
Right, okay.
No, you're right. I have something to tell you here.
Yeah.
A great deal of middle-class misery because au pairs are quitting Britain. Yeah.
Au pairs?
Yes.
I've never had an au pair.
No. Number of au pairs
not to
who are
look
looking
after
for
my
work in
children,
Britain
anyway.
is falling.
Yeah.
According to research, number of Europeans willing to work in the UK fallen by 40 to 50% in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
This is figures collected by agencies that organise work for young people in families.
Has this got to do with Brexit?
Well, the British Au Pair Agencies Association says that the EU referendum was to blame because young people now perceive the UK as anti-foreigner.
But it's not anti-foreigner,
Of course
is it?
it's not.
I mean, I was in Harley Street today,
Yes.
right? Or yesterday, I should
Yes.
say. I had to go and see my dentist.
Yes.
As a follow-up scenario to my scenario that I did a few weeks ago.
Yes.
And there are so many foreign people between, say, for example, you come out of Bond Street Station.
Yes.
You walk across Oxford Street.
Yep.
You then walk behind Oxford Street,
Yep.
Wigmore Street, into Harley Street.
That's right.
You know, up towards Marylebone.
That's right.
I don't think I met anybody who was actually English.
Well, do you know what?
I don't think there was anybody English there.
Down in Stockbroker Boat, when I get a train up into town, I don't hear any English spoken anymore. It's
No.
Spanish or Eastern European languages or Russian or something
Russian,
like that.
yeah.
And all that. And you know, the other thing was quite amazing. I've noticed over the last week, maybe it's because the school calendar is different in Japan.
Yeah.
Dozens of parties of young Japanese kids in Stockbroker
They
Boat.
weren't playing that weird game.
No,
No
weren't playing-
Okayashi.
No, Okayashi. No, they weren't playing that.
Yeah.
But I mean, this thing about au pairs, I mean, the image of the au pair is fantastic, isn't it? You know, have this image
What
of
do you
a
mean?
saucy young lady, you know what
No,
I mean?
no,
who's
no.
come
That's
here
only
from-
in those movies with the guy from, the window cleaning bloke.
No cleaner.
You know.
Confessions of a Window Cleaner.
Confessions of a Window Cleaner, yeah.
No, it is. I mean,
No, it's not. That's absolute rubbish.
no, it's not. The reason
Well,
they...
I've never had an au pair looking after my kids.
No.
I've never had one.
No, of course not, no. But the most popular place is London and then Oxford, Manchester and Brighton. The reason most of them come here is to learn English.
Yes.
It's a cheap way of learning English. And English is the mother tongue of the world. And
True.
if they want to get on in life, they know they've got to speak English.
Well, I mean, also there was a time when Europe was viewed very much as the sort of the poor man to Britain because Britain was
Yeah.
a much more successful country than the rest of Europe.
Yes.
It's not like that anymore.
No, it's true.
You know,
No,
I
it's
mean, you
absolutely
might see people from Eastern Europe coming
Yep.
and saying, you know, we'd like to, make our fortune now
Yes.
in this country.
Yes.
But nobody from Germany, which is formerly a big supplier of au pairs, or France, or Belgium, or Switzerland, or Luxembourg, or probably even Spain,
Right.
is coming here to be paid a pittance
No.
to look after somebody else's kids.
That's right. Guess what the 10 things that au pairs list as the great things about Britain,
I
right?
don't know.
Firstly...
Who's telling you this?
this is part of my research
Is it?
programme.
Right.
Firstly, Britons talk about nothing but the weather.
Right.
Britons are well capable of laughing at themselves.
Yeah.
Everybody, according to the British, should speak English around the world.
Well, these are not good things. These are just things,
They
right?
are very sarcastic about themselves.
Yeah.
Tea solves every problem. You know, the word "put the kettle on" seems to be the most common expression.
Yeah. Well,
Whenever,
have you seen the time?
Sorry?
Have you seen the time?
Have you
in
seen
there?
time? Yeah. Whenever a Briton bumps into another Briton, they both say sorry.
Yeah.
You know, they always do.
Who's written this rubbish?
It's research, isn't it? Britons are very proud of their country. Britons love an underdog.
Yeah.
Britain still practiced afternoon tea as well as cups of tea, and they have no sense of boredom when they're in a queue.
Yes.
Okay?
Marvellous. Thank you very much.
Thought you'd like all that.
Yeah, fantastic.
That sums you up.
Yeah, we'll see if we can find any more fascinating things from Porky's journals. Coming up next, though, we're going to go over to America because we're going to catch up with Jamie Jackson, who's with Manchester United on their pre-season tour. This is TalkSport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
I'm going slightly mad. I'm going slightly mad. It finally happened. Finally happened.
This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mics, and of course, we've got Ask Porky coming up a little bit later on. Lots of really great questions. If you've never had a question answered live on air, now's the time to do it. If it's a quandary about something to do with etiquette, if it's something to do with your upcoming marriage, your impending divorce, possible financial inducements to do a new job, by all means, ask the question. Send it at the Two Mics on Twitter, and you'll get it answered live on air. Right now, though, we're going over to Salt Lake City in Utah, home of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, of course. Jamie Jackson's there from The Guardian. He's following around Manchester United's pre-season tour. Jamie, a very good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning, but may I just politely correct you and say I'm in Houston now. I've jumped over from Salt Lake City.
Oh, are you? Okay. Well, it says here, unfortunately, we can't get the staff here. They don't know the difference between Salt Lake City and Houston. We do, of course, because we used to work in America.
Well, there's a lot more booze in Houston than there is in Salt Lake City, Jamie.
That's true. That's true. The food's a little bit...
I tell you what, I arrived on Sunday, and Sunday is the day when what they call the state liquor stores close. Yes,
right.
You can only get sort of weak beer, as it were. So unless you sit and have it with a meal, interestingly enough. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
Now, interesting times for Manchester United, interesting times for all Premier League teams, of course. There's lots of stories, lots of rumours floating around.
Walked out.
Right.
Now, we know that they're after him. No one sort of privately at the club is denying it, you know. So that's the one. I believe Ivan Perisic has gone on the tour into that Seattle. He's with the squad to China. That means nothing really. I mean, there was an idea that he might not go on the plane if it was very close, but he's there. He's gone with them. So that's one that they're hoping, or let's say I think would be disappointed if it doesn't happen. Then of course after that, it's a defensive midfielder. I mean, at the moment, take your pick really from Dyer and Matic. I think Dyer is the one that they believe. It's easier to get them to put it that way. Very difficult, as we all know, to get players out of Tottenham. And there's also Matic, which again he was given a direct opportunity. The question put to him was, "Can you kill the idea you've got an interest in him?" And he didn't. That was before the Galaxy game. But yeah, I mean he's got Lukaku and he's got Lindelof in, but that's not nearly enough. I don't think for him. He wants 4 altogether.
That's right. Now, Jamie, is Lukaku looking like a Manchester United player yet? Because apparently he had a very quiet debut. Albeit being a friendly, then he's big enough to be a Manchester United player. Has he got that confidence? You know, one statistic which always bounces around with Lukaku is that if you took all his Everton goals away last season, Everton's position in the table wouldn't have altered. You know, he scored goals in abundance, but they weren't necessarily important goals.
Well, that's a very interesting start, that Porky. I've not heard that one before.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, he's only played 2 sort of halves here because, Mourinho's been switching the team at half-time. I would say his touch has looked average, okay? So sometimes it's looked good, sometimes it hasn't. And when he scored the goal yesterday, which obviously the winner, I certainly thought he's over-elaborated here. You know, he's sort of being a player, he's done a little sort of trick, and he thought he was going to mess up the chance. But he put it in, so you can't argue with that. So what I would say is, I think he thinks he's got the confidence, which he needs. Yeah, everyone needs a bit of swagger to get anywhere in life. But let's just wait and see. Mourinho's very careful both times after each game to sort of say how much he basically loved Lukaku. I said to him just before he scored the goal, for example, yesterday against Real Salt Lake. He said to him, "I love everything about." This is during the game. Just before he scored, he said to him on the touchline, "I love everything about your game. Keep on doing what you're doing." Well, he'd had a couple of duff touches. So listen, I know it can be a bit of a cliche to follow the crowd and. That's what the perception of it is. But I have seen evidence of that kind of clumsy touch. So I'd be interested to see because, he's going to have to score, kind of Ibrahimovic numbers. That's what he will be compared to.
Yes, he will.
He's got 28 28 in all competitions last season, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
well,
right.
he really will. We were down at the Star Sixes, rather, I should say, on Saturday at the O2, and were lucky
Yeah.
enough to speak to Phil Neville, who was playing for the England team, and he said that he thought that the Premier League this year will be between the two Manchester clubs, City and United. I mean, I don't know where he gets that idea from. I mean, I don't see United yet as quite as powerful a team as that in terms of fighting for the top spot in the Premier League. Do you?
You know what, I agree with you. What I would say is they have to, in terms of what's expected of Mourinho at Manchester United from, the owners and the fans. But whether they will do is a different kind of question. So I kind of know, I know exactly what you're saying. I mean, Phil Neville's saying that basically because he's Manchester United, sort of born and raised, if you like. I would suggest, he obviously thinks they've got a chance. But, I mean, every year you sort of do say they're in the shake-up just because of the vast amounts of money they spend and can spend. But it's still, with United, you still look at the squad and think, how much quality is there up front? Even if you accept that Lukaku may weigh in with the goals. Okay, Rashford might do, but he's unproven, I would say. He's yet to do 20 goals a season, but of course, he's not had the chance. And then you look around, I know Mourinho is frustrated with Martial, Lingard, Mkhitaryan in terms of weight of goals. I don't know. I think that they need... Really, it's what is it now? With 4 years, it's going to be the 5th season as it's Ferguson retired and they won the last title. They've never really challenged, have they? Because that season under Van Gaal, the first one, when he lost away at Chelsea, I don't know if you remember, Eden hasn't scored a goal, and that was the end of their title. So even then, it was a bit distant. So you just look at each year and think it's not good enough. And so everyone says Mourinho always wins his title in his second year at the club, so let's wait and see. But I understand what you mean. It still feels like a bit of a leap for them to be serious challengers.
I think so, yeah. And what about the next game they've got, which is in Houston, of course, against Manchester City, the International Champions Cup? It's going to be 2:30 a.m. so we can actually follow it, I guess. I don't know if it's going to be televised here tomorrow in the morning, but we can follow it. What sort of team are Manchester City putting up, and what kind of fireworks can we expect between Mourinho and Pep Guardiola?
Well, in terms of the second one, I don't think there will be any. Although the thing you've always got to throw in there is Mourinho sometimes, I don't think, knows what he's going to say or what mood he's going to be in from Monday to the next.
No.
He's pretty up and down. Do you know what I mean? So he can set off, it's not that he just can't help himself, it's just in his nature to sort of be spiky. In terms of City, this will be their first game up there too. Obviously, United have already had 2. I don't know. I think, they really want Sanchez. I don't know if that's going to happen now. Arsenal's turning out not going to sell. He's not, they're saying 50 million, and Arsenal aren't going to sell for that. But what happens if City say, okay, we'll do basically what we did with Kyle Walker at Spurs and give you an offer you can't refuse? £75 million for a player who could walk away for free. The reason why I'm mentioning this is I think a lot of their issues are kind of away from his tour or off-field issues. They've got people here they've had to bring people here like Mangala and Nasri, who they just don't want, obviously, and cost them a heck of a lot in wages, but they can't sell. They just can't sell because of those wages. Mangala, if you remember, cost £42 million. I'm only laughing because it seems ridiculous even now. And they can't seem to get rid of him for sort of, I think they want 18 million now for about 20 million. So less than half the price. They can't sell the guy at the moment anyway because of the wages. And I think there's a lot of that sort of stuff going on. Sort of away from the actual game. I mean, Mourinho said that he'll switch to a 60-30 split for the next 3 games, 60 minutes for one team, and then change a lot of players on the hour, because he's done 45-45. We see Guardiola tomorrow, 10 a.m. Houston time, which has 6, is obviously 4 o'clock in the afternoon, your time, so we know a little bit more about, how he'll be. But listen, he's under a lot of pressure. I mean, he really is, because you look at there's a whole sort of interesting thing about him and goalkeepers. But after Pepe Reina, you've got Ederson in. If he gets Reina in from Napoli, that's goodbye Claudio Bravo, and it kind of is anyway to his City career, because he's got Ederson in. So he's on about his 4th, probably about his 3rd or 4th different keeper. Joe Hart's obviously gone. If that doesn't work, and with the Dani Alves thing falling down the right back, he's under scrutiny there with his defence and goalkeeper. So again, it'd be great to see if he picks Ederson, the new goalkeeper they got from Benfica, how he plays, because he starts throwing in a couple, and then not only will he be under pressure because of that, but because of what's happened previously, with Bravo and Hart, and that obviously goes back to Guardiola.
Absolutely right. And what about the Paris Saint-Germain scenario where we got Neymar supposedly being linked with a move there for some ludicrous amount of money? Like
220 million,
200 million release clause out of Barcelona. Is anyone taking that seriously in your part of the world?
I think at the moment, no, just because if you rewind a year ago, there were similar noises. United sort of thought they might have a chance of Neymar, and it turns out no, they were just sort of they were being used a little bit for more money, or just for Neymar to sort of strengthen his position. I mean, the one I always hear about Neymar is, he's a bit disgruntled because Lionel Messi's there and he'll never be top dog. Well, just accept it. You're Neymar. You're not doing too badly. You're playing alongside Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi's going to go down as one of the best ever, if not the best ever. Personally, I think that's Maradona. But you understand what I mean? So, is that really the reason Neymar's sort of possibly considering leaving? And would you leave a Barcelona that is Barcelona with all their heritage? You're playing alongside Suarez as well to go to PSG, which basically is it's a 1 or 2 club league, isn't it? Really, that's not the same standard. I just don't see it unless. And when you use the word ludicrous, it would have to be even in a ludicrous market that we're in. It would have to be really ludicrous, wouldn't it, for him to consider it? I would say, but it's football. Who knows these days?
Well, exactly. You can absolutely not make any judgments whatsoever, and so that will never happen. But Jamie, listen, thank you very much indeed. We
Thanks,
might have a word
Jamie.
with you tomorrow during that game, Manchester United taking on Manchester City. Of course, it will be during our time. It's about 2:30 in the morning. The kickoff. We'll bring you all of the pre-season games as they happen throughout the night, right here on Talk Sport.
Talk Sport.
And it's in!
A diving header at the end of a 50-yard run.
From the root to the tip.
Talk Sport.
Sport, we are the two Mikes. It is, of course, a very, very special show this morning because we are doing Ask Porky a little bit later on. If you've never had a problem solved by Porky live on air or a dilemma sorted out, now's your chance to do it. You can tweet us at the two Mikes, or, of course, you can find us on the Facebook page and do it there as well.
Yes.
However, in addition to that, just as if that's not enough, we're going to do Heroes and Villains as well.
We are.
We are leading, I think, in terms of, when I say we, I mean me.
Yep.
I'm leading, I think, something like 15-9 or something like that.
Yep.
I can't remember exactly what it is, but we do 2 heroes, 2 villains. Mr. David Levine behind the glass will judge which one he prefers.
Yes.
Are you ready with any heroes and or villains that you'd like to go first with?
Yes, okay.
All right, we'll go ahead then.
Okay, well, I'll go with my heroes first, okay?
Go
and
on.
it has to be, without a shadow of a doubt, unmistakably, Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton?
Of course, Lewis Hamilton won the British Grand Prix.
Yeah.
But he won the British Grand Prix despite the fact that he came in for massive criticism for 2 days earlier, not attending a get-together in London.
That's right.
With all the Grand Prix drivers, to rev up the race.
Yeah.
He said that his mindset was he needed a couple of days' break. He went to Greece.
Yeah.
He came back. He was then put up on a pedestal with 3 of the drivers to talk about the race, but the first 6 questions were all about him not attending the day out, right?
Yeah.
And on each question, he answered eloquently. He didn't lose his temper. He said, it's my preparation. He then goes and wins the race, so justifies everything he said.
Does his job.
And he then is literally hurled up in the air by thousands of fans like a man who had just won a war.
Is that right?
He is an outstanding hero.
Yeah. But he hasn't actually won a war, has he?
No,
he's just done his job.
Yeah, he's won the British Grand Prix and is now back within a point of the lead at the top of the drivers' table.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a proper sporting hero, and it's not Lewis Hamilton. It is, in fact, Roger Federer, the man who is now way out, head and shoulders ahead of everyone who has ever played at Wimbledon, who has ever played tennis around the world. He has now won for the 8th time the Wimbledon men's singles final. He didn't have a great deal of difficulty doing away with Marin Cilic, who was a little bit injured, but at the age of 35, an absolutely brilliant example of what it is to be dedicated, what it is to be professional, what it is to be a decent man. Not like Lewis Hamilton, who's petulant, who decides when and where he wants to turn up. Lewis Hamilton does not give interviews after he's won things with any sort of great alacrity.
Oh, I think that's a very unfair comment.
He doesn't speak in any language other than British.
Very unkind comment.
Roger Federer gives interviews in French. He gives interviews in German.
Yeah.
He gives interviews in English.
Yeah.
He spent 3 hours after the Wimbledon victory talking to the press. He came back the following morning.
And then allegedly got bladderated that night.
No, he did get bladderated because he went out at about 11 o'clock at night.
That's right.
And met up with your friend, Ms. Muguruza.
That's right.
Who had won the women's.
That's right.
And they danced the night away until 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
But he was back at Wimbledon at about 10:30 the following morning in order to do more interviews. So he is the ultimate sportsman. He is the king of tennis, absolutely undisputed, and he is a decent man. And I think, therefore, that makes him a much bigger hero than Lewis Hamilton, who's a spoilt brat.
Yes, I would say that's no question about the nomination, but rather predictable, I would say.
You would say so?
Well, he's Mr. Goody Two-Shoes, isn't he?
Well, let's hear, your next nominee.
Okay, my next nominee is a villain, and it has to be the New England captain, Joe Root. Got it completely wrong in the second test. No, it's not.
Why would you want to break the guy after one match?
Because he got it completely wrong in the second test. He came in for criticism roundly from former England captains like Michael Vaughan. Not only that, but he actually lost the plot completely.
Yeah.
He couldn't speak, talk to his mate like Gary Balance, who should have been axed after an appalling display. Just 85 runs in 4 innings against South Africa, right? Playing at number 3.
Yes.
And unfortunately, Joe Root hasn't got to axe him now because he's broken his finger and can't play.
I see.
But I mean, he was humming and hawing about that. He didn't seem to be in place as captain to be able to put right terrible things that had gone wrong. The whole team lost discipline because he wasn't leading from the front.
I see.
He humiliated this country on our home territory. He's a villain.
I see. My first villain is an organisation rather than an individual.
Right.
And it's an organisation called Women in Literary Arts.
Oh, yeah?
Now, this was passed to me by somebody who is in the know. They've been running they've been running a survey to try to collect information about women in the arts, right?
Yes.
However, one of the questions in the survey is how would you describe your gender? Okay, now can I offer you these possibilities? 1, transgender. 2, cisgender. 3, agender. 4, bigender. 5, binary. 6, butch. 7, coercively assigned female at birth. 8, coercively assigned male at birth. 9, demi-girl. 10, demi-woman. 11, demi-boy. 12, demi-man. A special one for Samoans, which is Fafalina, is number 13. Femme is number 14.
I mean,
gender
just go
fluid
on and on
is
and
number
on.
15. Number 16 is gender non-conforming. Number 17 is gender queer. Number 18 is hijra, which is an Indian South Asian category. Intersex is the next one. Mahu, which is native Hawaiian. Multiplied gendered or multi-gender. Non-binary, polygender, trans feminine, trans masculine.
I mean,
trans
come on, thank you. I get the drift.
Spirit, or you like this. The final one. Declined to state.
Declined to state,
They've also got a category, if you're not included in any of those, if you're not listed, please share how you identify. Now, I know that we live in a slightly different world from the one in which you and I were raised, and for which you and I spent a great deal of time, but this is surely absolutely and utterly ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, it is. It's a bit long-winded, that, I'm afraid.
Not long-winded.
And it's...
So I'm saying the people who organised this survey for women in literary arts have absolutely gone completely and utterly bonkers, and they need to get down from the high palm tree from which they have been hiding.
Okay. Well,
so you've got either the opportunity to do a hero or a villain.
Right, I'm going to do another villain now, okay?
Go on, then.
Another villain. My main villain after Joe Root is Jack Wilshere.
Jack Wilshere?
Yeah, Jack Wilshere. Jack Wilshere.
What are you picking on him for?
Because he's now going to be bailed out by Arsenal, and I'm afraid a career which held so much promise 7 or 8 years ago is now wasted. Now, people will say, well, it's not Jack Wilshere's fault because he's had a terrible run of injuries.
He has.
I would say that an injury-prone footballer is self-contributing to that injury proneness. It can sometimes be a question
his
of
lifestyle may have contributed to
I'm
his
saying
injuries.
that it may be a combination of lifestyle, of mental attitude, of attention to detail in training and all that kind of stuff.
He started off all right at Bournemouth, didn't he?
Started off all right, but then it petered out again. Everything that Jack Wilshere does in terms of reviving his career peters out after a few games or a few weeks or a few months. And I'm afraid to waste a talent like he's got, and people say, well, it wasn't his fault. It is his fault because, you are, in the end, you're responsible for your own body. and you've got to do things in life to make sure that you get the maximum from it, if that's the tool that you need to do your job.
Okay.
And I'm afraid that Jack now, to be bailed out, but I don't know where he's going to find a club, because, he...
apparently Sampdoria may be in for him.
They may be in for him, and he may just disappear abroad. We'll never hear of him again and all that kind of stuff. And it's a terrible waste. And for that reason, Jack, I'm sorry, I've got to make you a villain.
Okay, I think that's a bit harsh on poor old Jack Wilshere.
No, it's not.
He could have been a contender except for a bum, which is what he is.
Exactly.
I'm going to give Joe Hart a big hello, and I'm going to say he's a hero. Joe Hart has had, whatever you may think of him as a goalkeeper, a very difficult few years, right? He's still England's number one goalkeeper. Gareth Southgate, it would seem, is still kind of keeping the faith with him. However, Gareth Southgate has said, like most people would say, as England coach, that you have to be playing, first-team football for somebody.
Yes.
He's been pretty badly humiliated by Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
And as we were hearing from Jamie Jackson earlier on down in Houston,
yes,
for no good reason.
Yes.
He's not a terrible goalkeeper.
Yes.
Perhaps he's not as good as he ought to be. Perhaps he makes a few mistakes. Perhaps he's made a few bigger mistakes in big games that are a bit unfortunate. But, he's a good guy, and he's now come to West Ham, and I'm sure he'll do West Ham proud.
Yes.
And I just don't understand why poor old Joe Hart has suddenly gone from hero to zero in a matter of, months.
Yes.
And I think it's really unfair. I mean, he showed... people always say, well, the problem with British players is they don't go and play abroad. He went over to Torino and played.
Yes.
He's now come back. He's doing the best that he can to keep himself fit.
Yeah.
He's doing the best that he can to keep himself playing.
Yeah.
And I just think Joe Hart should be recognised for being a trier.
Yes.
And I think he's a good goalkeeper. He may not be a brilliant goalkeeper, but he's good enough.
Yeah, okay.
And I think he should get more recognition.
Okay.
He's my second hero.
Right, okay. Right, my second hero is Anya Shrubsole.
Who?
Anya Shrubsole.
Who's she?
She is the England ladies cricketer.
Oh, for God's sake.
Who hit the last four.
What a load of old rubbish.
In the... excuse me,
What
that's a
a
terrible
load of old
attitude
rubbish.
to have, right? Anya Shrubsole.
Nobody cares.
She hit a four in the semi-final of the World Cup competition.
Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah, and who'd they play in the World Cup competition?
To get themselves to the final.
Yes.
Right?
Who was it they beat?
Who was it they beat?
Yeah.
They were, in fact, playing South Africa.
Well done.
They played South Africa,
Well read,
right?
yes.
And I saw her dramatic innings and the way that she seized the game in the last two balls of the game.
You're a big follower of women's cricket, are you?
Well, I think that you've got to give these ladies credit for getting to the top of their profession the same way as you would anybody else.
Yeah.
I'm a totally non-discriminatory individual.
So you've given a hard time to Joe Root, right?
Yes.
But you're bigging up the England ladies cricket team.
Well, they're successful. They've got to the final, and we should all be proud of them. Yeah, it's something that we should celebrate.
Well, hang on. Joe Root is playing in a test series of 4 games.
Yeah.
So far, it's 1-1.
Yeah,
so he hasn't lost anything.
Yeah, but these girls are playing in the World Cup.
Yeah,
and they've
You're
got
a big admirer of the family who supported the female cricket captain.
Eh? Heather Knight.
Yes, you like her?
Great lady, great girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't know who her relatives are, do you?
What?
Never mind. Let's talk about my second villain.
Sorry, what's that got to do with it?
Well, I'm just trying to know how interested you are in the female cricketing scenario.
I don't look outside of what the girls do when they put those flannels on.
The pads on.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. They're playing in blue, by the way.
Yeah, playing in blue.
Yeah. Not the flannel fools
you can
of
have
England.
blue flannels, can't you?
My second villain of the piece, and we're going to have to hurry here because we're almost out of time, is
Yes.
John Humphreys. John Humphreys, who will no doubt be one of the many names that will be revealed in the next 24 hours of BBC employees who make more than £150,000 a year. I don't know whether you heard his interview with our very famous Johanna Costa.
That's right,
Conta, sorry.
Yes.
Who did terribly well at Wimbledon, got herself into the semi-finals, didn't quite make it into the final, but, she did all right. And in the end, he gave her this ridiculously hard time and basically said to her, what do you mean calling yourself British?
Yes.
And he got it all wrong.
Yeah, he
and
did.
I don't mind somebody having an opinion.
Yeah.
I don't mind somebody having a go. But he said you were born in Hungary, you've never been British, you've spent loads of time in Australia. And she corrected him and said, well, excuse me, actually I was born in Australia. I wasn't born in Hungary. Yes, my parents are Hungarian.
Yes.
However, I do have a British passport.
Yes.
I am a British citizen. I've represented Britain at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And she was rather well sort of versed in dealing with this guy.
Yes.
But John Humphrey is another one of these guys at the BBC who's too old, too grumpy, too set in his ways, and they should shuffle him off. And this guy should not be allowed to represent Britain as a broadcaster in almost every single thing that he likes to do. He represents him at Mastermind, which he's useless at. He sits on the morning show on the Today programme and is grumpy, misogynistic, and gets away with murder because he's John Humphreys.
I don't think he's misogynistic, and I think he's one of the better ones, actually.
No, he's not.
Offered him a job once.
You offered him a job?
Yeah.
What? Where?
At Talk Radio. Before we turned it into Talk Sport.
And what did he say?
No. He was eating bananas, and he'd had a heavy night the night before.
Really?
And he said he needed the sodium in the bananas to sort himself out.
Right.
But he was very pleasant.
Yeah, I'm sure he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much did you offer him for that?
Oh, about $100,000 a year or something, I suppose.
And was that not enough?
Well, I don't know. He didn't. He's had other things to do, I think.
I see.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are the two heroes and villains of either one of us.
Indeed.
They will be now constructed and destructed.
I tell you what, there'll be a big allegation of sexism if I don't get the vote
Why
this
is that?
time. Well, because I nominated the only woman in all the heroes and villains
Is that
situation.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then considering that you've made hay of the fact that 2/3 of the highest paid people at the BBC are men, not
that's
women.
true.
So I'm flying the flag.
Yeah,
for
well, maybe we'll do some
equal
more
opportunities.
maybe we'll do a whole section on women's cricket coming up next.
Yeah, maybe.
This is Talk Sport.
Or maybe not.
The Two Mikes, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
It's a wonderful night, you gotta take it from me. It's a wonderful night, come on and break it on down. It's a wonderful night, you gotta shake it from me. It's a wonderful night, come on and break it on down. It's a wonderful night, everybody can see. It's a wonderful night, come on and break it on down. It's a wonderful night, go ahead and release.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes. There's nothing like a bit of what you might describe as thoughtful debate, right? How about this from, these are the new people who think that those who disagree with them should be banned from speaking, right? Here's one from Mark who says, really, women's cricket, a load of old rubbish. Get the Two Mikes off the air.
Well, I didn't say that.
Women's World Cup 17.
No.
Mark, let me tell you something, mate.
I nominated
when you
a
have
woman.
a difference of opinion, you're supposed to debate it. You're not supposed to ban people from saying it. If you like banning people from doing things that you don't agree with, please move to North Korea, okay?
Yes,
Otherwise, you want to
good.
ring us up and tell us what's great about women's cricket, you know the number, 08717 223344.
Right.
How about this from Tracy, who says, good call so far on Heroes and Villains from Mike Graham, Joe Hart, and that Grumpy's fellow.
Yeah.
Peter says, Porky, you'd think after all these years you'd be able to figure out how to pick villains and heroes. MG wins yet again.
No, I'm sorry. Craig here says, I hate to say this, but Porky's spot on about the Wilshire, and I think he may have edged it, MG.
Really?
So,
we'll find out in a minute. Porky's got this all
Yeah.
wrong, says Luke. Hamilton is too big for his boots, not a hero, and give Joe Root a chance.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. It says, Steve the Cabbie says, everybody's lost it. Old MG could win in that car. All Hamilton does is moan and must get fashion tips from Porky.
Yeah, he does wear some weird clothes.
Yeah.
Yes, well, David Levine is here. He's the man that's going to decide. Good afternoon,
Yes,
good morning,
hello.
and good evening. Yeah, he's the guy that's going to decide. He has a piece of paper in his hand.
Yeah.
Would you
He's
like
trying to pass
MG?
it.
You complained last time I did this that you never get to open
Well, no,
it.
it's only because you're closer to Porky.
He's not paying attention, so...
No, he's not. But I'm not so insecure
Right,
that
thank
I
you
don't
very much
mind
indeed.
having a
I was
piece
just
of paper.
studying the report. Right.
Yeah.
It says on the front, winner.
Yeah.
I think Mr.
It always
Levine
says
will have
Mike, doesn't
his little joke now. I'll open it, it'll say Mike, and
Yeah.
I'll have to open the third page. Right.
Okay.
The
Go on,
winner
then.
is Porky! Woo, woo, woo.
So that makes it about 15-10 then, doesn't it?
Thank you very much indeed.
I don't think you're ever going to catch up with me. Though.
course.
That's the
No,
problem.
no,
On
no,
what
no.
basis, Mr. Levine?
Well, not because of the threat of sexism. That wasn't really a factor. But actually, MG, your heroes were better and Porky's villains. But I think Porky's villains were far superior to yours,
Really?
more
Yes.
than the heroes were, because I quite like the women's cricket. I really liked Joe Hart as a hero. I think he's acted with a lot of grace.
Yes, I think he has.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been given a very, very nasty hand, I would say.
Yeah.
By some
Absolutely, and he hasn't spoken out against anyone at Man City or how he's been treated at all. Wilshire and Root is obviously quite a villain this week.
Yes.
I don't think that's fair. I don't think Joe Root is a villain. I think he's, feeling his way through. He's got one win under his belt. He's now got one loss under his belt, which means that he is no longer, unassailable. But it doesn't mean that he's a massive loser either.
No, that's fair enough. And Roger Federer, I think, to win Wimbledon without dropping a set at his age and to do it with such class and grace,
Sounds to me like I should have won.
No, it's just very, very close. It was
very close.
It was just edged by
a bit
Porky.
Closer. Yes, it was. Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I look forward to Porky's report on the Women's Cricket World Cup final. Who are they playing in it?
Sorry?
Who are they playing?
They're playing the other finalist.
Yeah, who is that?
The other finalist?
Yeah.
The other finalist, I think you'll find, has not yet been decided.
Has it not?
No, because we've
who's
only
in
had
between?
one semi-final.
Oh, okay. So the other one's today then?
The other one must be today.
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I look forward to you telling us all about it.
Well...
Because you're such a big fan of the women's cricket.
Let me tell you.
Come on.
What's happening is that it'll work itself out.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Now, here's a story for you, right?
Yes.
Picked out of the newspapers. Incredible court case going on up in, I think it's Sheffield.
Yes.
Where a police helicopter crew has been accused of all kinds of nefarious activity, including filming naked sunbathers and a couple having sex while they were on patrol.
Yeah, but it's worse than that because apparently a member of the crew in the helicopter is a member of a swingers club and they deliberately flew over the patio of another couple who they knew to be swingers.
Is that right?
Yeah, who allegedly... decided to give a performance while the police helicopter was there, having been tipped off by their mate that a camera would be picking up everything they did.
I know.
Yeah.
Now, according to the case, which is continuing, right, the court heard that South Yorkshire Police Flying Squad were up to all sorts of ridiculous activities.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were they doing?
Well, the abuse of public money when you use things like helicopters as toys to either... satisfy your rather odd needs, predilections and needs, or just to be mischievous to members of the public, is something that needs very careful monitoring.
It certainly does. Yeah, very weird.
Yeah,
business altogether.
very weird business indeed.
There's a lot of strange things going on in this world, aren't there?
Well, a very lot of strange things going on in the world, and that's why you have to be constantly vigilant as to who's trying to turn you over and who are the good guys.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Now, Ivan says this: gender is apparently just a social construct, so let's get back to sex and not gender, the natural construct of male and female. I don't know what he means by that.
Well, what he means is, you used to be asked, are you male or female, right?
Yeah.
And that's the way most sensible people would still prefer their passport abuses people. And what I particularly object to is transgender so-called education in schools for children who do not need their brains confused by weird theories on the development of the physical body as you grow into as you grow into adulthood.
Okay.
And I think little kids should be told, look, there's men and there's women, there's mummy and there's daddy.
No, but hang on,
that's what I think should happen.
Well, that's what you think should happen. It doesn't mean that you're correct about that, right? Because what you will find is that, there's one thing, but the trouble is, right, there's plenty of people who will differ from your view, right? However, to go from one view, which is to say, well, there might be, people who consider themselves to be, gender neutral. It's one thing to say that, and then another to give them 25 different opportunities to name themselves as any particular gender. I think it's absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
Anyway, how about this from Peter? He says, Dave Levine, you got that one very wrong. Reverse gerrymandering on MG.
No, got it completely right.
I don't think anybody's in favour of this at all.
No, got it completely right.
Abdul says, I'm sorry, but the judge is useless. He's obviously in Porky's pocket.
Oh, that's very nice, isn't it? Yeah, and it is not the case at all. I can assure you.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm absolutely sure, yeah. Now, I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about in a minute.
Well, we haven't got any time.
Well, in a minute I'm going to talk to you about it, okay? Just one stressful experience... excuse me. One stressful experience you had during your life can completely screw your brain up.
Well, I'm not surprised. It depends on how stressful it is.
And it comes from another of my medical journals I'm going to tell you about in a minute. But you'd be amazed how things that you think are trivial and inconsequential in your life can actually change the whole of your existence.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's a fascinating report.
Well, I shall look forward to hearing that.
Yes.
Coming up next, though, we are going to talk to Dr. Jack Horner, who we spoke to around about a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, because he was rather controversially the guy who wanted to try recreate a dinosaur in this day and age from the DNA of a previous dinosaur that had been dug up.
Yep.
And we're going to talk to him because there's some new research about T-Rex, and the new research would suggest that actually T-Rexes can't move very fast, and they weren't the killing machines that everybody thought they were. So we'll find out what it's all about coming up very, very shortly. This is Talk Sport.
Good.
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The enduring home of football.
It's modern radio, only better.
Talk Sport.
You're dirty, sweet, and you're my girl. Get it on, bang a gong, get it on. Get it on, bang a gong, get it on.
Good song, that, eh?
Yeah,
Very
great
clever,
song. Yeah,
Sam.
yeah. Well, it's not that clever.
Telegram Sam.
No, that's T-Rex, the group.
Yeah.
Who used to be called Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Indeed.
Until Mark Bolan wanted a niftier name for his and wanted Bubblegum Pop. And that was his big Bubblegum Pop hit.
Yes, and we're talking about T-Rex, so
We are,
I mean, it's a bit of an obvious one, but I like it. I like it a lot. We're going to talk to Dr. Jack Horner. We spoke to Dr. Jack about a year and a bit ago.
We did.
Because he was going to be developing the possibility, anyway, of trying to recreate the old dinosaurs walking the earth. We'll find out how that's been going.
Yes.
Dr. Jack, a very good morning to you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Now, we are ostensibly going to talk to you about the new research which has come out, I believe, of the University of Manchester here in the UK about T-Rex and how it wasn't quite as fast and as deadly and as quick as people perhaps thought it was. But let's start off with your own project, because the last time we spoke to you, you were hoping to develop, I think I'm right in saying, a kind of modern-day a dinosaur of some kind.
That is correct, and we're working on it. Our laboratory is still working hard. I think we've got virtually all the parts except the tail.
Okay. Who funds all this research, Doc? Because obviously it's a very expensive business, and are you well funded?
Well, it's all private funding. The primary funder of this project was George Lucas.
George Lucas, wow, the filmmaker.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah, why does George Lucas want to spend money on trying to invent a dinosaur? I mean, has he got nothing better to do?
Well, I don't think that wasn't really what he had in mind. He liked my research and just gave me some money to do what I wanted to do.
Right, okay.
And he's overburdened with money, isn't he, old George Lucas?
Yeah, but that's quite a good. It's quite a good life, that, Doc. You've got it made there. You come up with some crackpot idea, and then go and find some guy who's got more money than sense, and you're away. You can actually indulge yourself in that that fantastical work.
I guess so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, what do you make of this latest bit of research, which would suggest that T-Rex was not quite the kind of killing machine that everybody assumed that it was?
Well, I wrote a book about that a long time ago, and it wasn't very popular then, and it probably isn't very popular now. But most people want T-Rex to be a killing machine, and most of the evidence that we have suggests it was more of an opportunist, kind of like a hyena, a modern hyena.
Well, you mean like it would sit in a big tree and then just leap on something that's going by below?
I don't think hyenas were in trees.
No, the hyena is on the ground. What I'm saying is a Tyrannosaurus Rex had wings, so it could swoop on it. Yeah, it did.
No, it didn't have wings.
It did.
That's a pterodactyl you're thinking of.
Oh, is it a pterodactyl? Okay, yeah. Well, all right. Well, the Tyrannosaurus Rex then would just hang around until it saw like a passing herd of cows or something like that,
Buffalo.
and then just leap on them.
Yeah, well, maybe some sick dinosaurs or something, but it wasn't the predator that we always thought it was.
Right. And so how come you were ahead of the curve here on this one, Dr. Jack? I mean, how did you know about this before these guys discovered it?
Well, if you look at T-Rex and you compare it to a velociraptor, basically it has the opposite characteristics. It has tiny little arms. It's got big, giant, bone-crushing teeth. You don't need to crush bones if you're the first one. If you're the one that kills an animal, you don't have to crush bones. And it has a big olfactory for smelling things at long distance, and you don't have to do that if you're the hunter.
Sure.
So there was, and there was a pretty good indication that T-Rex couldn't run a long time ago. And in fact, another researcher named John Hutchison, who works in the UK now, at the Royal College of Osteo something.
Okay.
Yeah, osteopath maybe.
Well, could be. I don't know.
Yeah. But he actually came up with that idea a long time ago and published a series of papers showing that T-Rex couldn't run.
Well, I mean, according to here's one for you. The German Centre for Integrative Biodiversity Research in Leipzig. They looked at 500 species, ranging from mollusks to whales, to find out how size was related to speed. And I mean, you would imagine, I suppose, if T-Rex was a big beast, that big beasts and large creatures are not particularly fast.
That's correct. Yes.
It weighed up to 9 tons, apparently.
Yeah, that's one estimate.
Yeah.
Are you saying that? You sound like you don't believe that one. Is that too high?
Well, that's like it depends on dinosaurs gave rise to birds, and birds are relatively light animals.
Right.
And so I think T-Rex. I think all of the dinosaurs were, at least the meat-eating dinosaurs, were a lot lighter built than most people attempt to make them. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of your project, right, and if you are able to bring a dinosaur somehow into the earth and recreate one, what type of dinosaur are you working on?
Well, the dinosaur I'm trying to make is, or at least the characteristics I'm trying to bring back are basically velociraptor-like characteristics. Basically trying to retro-engineer a bird back to a more dinosaur-like animal. So giving it a velociraptor-like head and grasping arms and teeth and a long tail, like a little velociraptor-like dinosaur.
Sounds like a small T-Rex.
Yeah, kind of. Except
no, there's only. I mean,
tiny little short arms.
Yeah, but all dinosaurs look the same, don't they? That's why kids get fascinated with long necks,
No, they don't look the same.
And long body. They look pretty much the same.
Triceratops looks nothing like a T-Rex.
Yeah, but I mean, none of us really know what they look like. It's all an imagination. No, we don't. We have no idea. Don't be ridiculous.
Have you not seen the skeletons?
Yeah, I've seen skeletons.
Dr. Jack, please explain to my colleague exactly why you know what they look like.
We know exactly what they look like. We have their skeletons. We have their skin impressions.
Yeah. Why do we bother researching them? I mean, dinosaurs came and went. A meteor hit the Earth, wiped out dinosaurs. Aren't they best forgotten? Why does anybody want to bring them back? For goodness sake, let's move on. I'd rather invent an aeroplane that could get us to Mars in 3 days than spend all this money on, rubbishy notions about dinosaurs. Why didn't you do some research on how to get a man to Mars?
I don't want to go to Mars. I'd rather have a dinosaur.
You'd rather have a dinosaur,
well, this is the thing. It's each to his own, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, listen, how far away are you, Dr. Jack, from producing some kind of dinosaur?
Well, we don't know. It's taken 7 years to get where we are, and we've gone quite a way.
Where are you?
Well, we're like I say, we could make an animal that looks kind of like a velociraptor already. It just won't have a long tail.
Okay, Doc.
But would it walk around? I mean, could you create it? Would it be alive?
Yes.
Really?
It would be alive, yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Doc, I've got a big suggestion for you. If you're getting all this money from George Lucas, forget about dinosaurs and invent yourself a time machine, which is possible if you can invent something that goes faster than the speed of light, and then you could get in your time machine, get back to the ages when dinosaurs were around, take a modern-day camera, take some pictures.
Why don't you put the dinosaur in the time machine?
No, and then we'll actually know exactly what they look like, and you will then become an internationally famous scientist who will be remembered forever.
He already is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a. I guess I should think about that. But
yeah.
Actually, I think that's what we make movies.
That's
what
movies are for. That's not a bad.
No, it's not. You can invent a time machine. Just need to know to go faster than the speed of light.
What I would suggest, and thank you very much indeed, Dr. Jack Horner there, who is
Thanks,
of course
Dr. Jack,
a paleontologist.
Dr. Jack Horner sat in the corner talking about dinosaurs.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Somebody's sent in this. St. John. Oh, my God, he says, does Porky just say the giant T-Rex just sat in a tree and that it had wings? He's finally lost it.
No.
I think that was a bit of a blunder.
Yeah, I was thinking of the wrong sort of animal.
You were thinking of a pterodactyl.
But Dr. Jack's a good guy, because whenever
He
I
is.
sort of make out that I think his research is all a load of nonsense and rubbish, he just laughs.
Well, because he knows that you don't know what you're talking about.
No, I don't think so.
So he doesn't mind, actually, if you have a go at him, because that's fine. Here's one from NG, who says, T-Rex hiding in a tree, ready to fly. Parry, you're a plank.
Yeah, I am a plank. I
This is
agree on that
TalkSport.
one, yeah.
The Two Mikes, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mikes. Loads more coming up between now and 3 o'clock, and for time 4 o'clock, in fact, because we're going to Ask Porky coming up in a little while. We've got an awful lot of very, very good questions.
Yes.
So I'd have to say, actually, that I think the questions this week that have come in for Ask Porky are probably as wide-ranging and interesting as I've ever seen.
Are they?
I'm quite looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to that myself. That'll be great.
David says, T-Rex was the first international band I saw at the Festival Hall in Melbourne.
Okay.
They were a glitter band. The girls wore glitter makeup.
Yeah, that's
well, they
right.
were a glitter band, yeah.
Yeah, they were. They were bubblegum pop.
Yeah.
What was their best record?
T-Rex?
Yeah.
Well, probably, Telegram Sam was one. Get It On.
Well, no, I thought
Bang
the
a
best
Gong.
one was Jeepster.
Jeepster was good.
Jeepster was a great rock
That was
and roll
good.
type record.
Yeah.
I loved that, But before he went
A lot of
into
their stuff was
T-Rex, and he was Tyrannosaurus Rex, he
Yeah.
wrote things like Hot Love and Ride a White Swan.
Ride a White Swan, yes.
Which were much more classical records than his later
Well, I
bubblegum
suppose
pop.
so. Wasn't Ride a White Swan the name of an album?
Ride a White Swan.
Or was that a song as well?
It was definitely a song. Ride a white swan, da-da-dee-da-da. Ride a white swan.
St. John says this. Poor
da-da-da-da.
Dr. Jack must think someone
Yeah.
spiked his coffee with LSD following that conversation.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think he had, yeah. And the other thing about T-Rex, of course, is unfortunately
Yeah.
it all died rather it all ended rather prematurely.
Well, because Mark Bolan died in a car crash.
His girlfriend hit a tree, didn't she? And
Was she driving?
She was. She was driving. He was in the passenger seat. It was in Barnes. And to this day, there is still a memorial there,
Yes.
like flowers and things.
That's
and
right.
People keep
Very
coming up.
dangerous piece of road there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's all a bit sad.
It is very
Right,
sad.
now then, I'm going to tell you about these experiences that can change your life, okay?
Yep.
If you go through any of these 27 events...
27
it
events?
can cause, permanent brain
Well,
damage.
presumably you're bound to have gone through one of 27 events. I
I've
mean, the
been to-
chances have been through one of 10 is pretty high.
Yeah, well,
one of 27. You're not
There
going
you
to go
go.
through all 27.
Right, now the worst one,
Yeah.
when you're a kid, is repeating a year of school. You're held back from going up.
I was never held back. Were you?
That nearly happened to me because I got great O-levels, right, and going to the lower six, and then I lost interest in work because I discovered alcohol and women, so I didn't do any work. And I only found out later that the school were very close to writing to our parents and saying, we think Michael should do the lower six year
Well,
again.
this is when you were low 6. Yeah, well, it didn't happen, though, so move on.
No, exactly.
Next.
That would have killed me, that.
Well,
it's emasculating to have to go 1 year down, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Well, probably, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, see, I was always 1 year ahead, effectively, because my birthday's in August.
Right, I see.
So when your birthday's in August, you are either at the end of the school year,
Yes.
so you're older than everybody else, or younger than everybody else.
Yeah.
If you go ahead,
Yes.
you see what I'm saying?
That's right, I do.
So because I was ahead of everybody else,
Yeah.
I was actually the youngest in the class always.
Right, okay. Now, these are the things that can get you done.
Yeah.
Your parents can't find work. Unemployed parents, okay?
Yes.
Never had that myself.
No.
No. Parents using drugs.
No.
Not knowingly do
No.
I have that myself.
No. What do you mean not knowingly?
Well, I don't know if my...
You don't think you're not sure if your parents were on drugs?
Well, I mean...
What do you think your old man was secretly shooting up
I don't
when he
know.
came back from the work every
No.
day?
No, I
Your
don't
mother
think
was
so.
snorting cocaine back in the day.
No, I don't think so. Now, here's one that could have affected our lives, both
Yeah.
you and me, dropping out of university.
Uh-huh.
Didn't bother me.
Didn't bother me
In
either.
fact, it improved my life.
Yeah.
Right, fired from from a job.
Yeah,
well,
that's happened plenty of times.
Had to get over that, yeah.
Well, people, people are very funny about being fired.
That's right.
I mean, I've both fired people and been fired.
Yes, and me as well.
And lots of people hated the idea that they were fired.
That's right.
And they wanted to say, no, I've been made redundant.
Yeah.
Other people didn't like being made redundant.
Yeah.
And would rather say that they'd been laid off.
That's right.
I don't know. I never cared what anybody called it.
No, I didn't either. But we employed one very famous female TV presenter at Talk Radio. And we just decided we were going to change over to sort of Talk Sport. She didn't fit in. Called her in my office, and I explained that the contract was in, and she said, you must allow me to put out a press release saying that I haven't got time to do this anymore.
Really?
And that was the deal. And I said, yeah, OK.
Yeah.
She's now the highest, I think she's one of the highest paid women on TV.
Will she be in the BBC list?
No, she won't be. She's on ITV.
Oh, really?
In fact, I'll tell you who she is.
What's her name?
The Scottish lady who does...
the Scottish lady?
Yeah.
Kirsty Walk?
No, mid-morning Scottish lady, very famous.
Mid-morning Scottish lady?
Yeah, everybody loves her.
Hey?
She comes
What,
on...
Lorraine Kelly?
Lorraine Kelly. That's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Lorraine's a lovely woman.
Oh, she's a lovely woman, yeah.
I know Lorraine quite well.
Yeah, and she was very gracious about it, and I said, look, we're just changing to sort of a more sort of male-based station with sport and all that kind of stuff. She said, that's fine, no problem, but this is the deal on my departure. And it was absolutely that. We didn't want to get rid of her. She was very good. Right, now then, next ones are the death of a parent.
Death of a parent.
That
I can see how that would be very
yeah,
upsetting.
I can, but you've got to get over these things.
Well, you have, but I mean, it does affect people. It depends on when they die, I think, as well. It depends on what part of your life you're at.
No, I agree.
I've seen people who have been destroyed because of one of their parents dying.
Yes, that's right. Cheating partner.
Cheating partner, that's never good.
That's something you've got a lot of experience about.
Well, not really, no.
Well, you're the cheatee, not the cheated partner.
So I don't know how that feels.
Disgraceful.
Well, I mean, you must have been out with girls who have cheated on you.
Never.
Are you sure?
Certain.
Well, they've just never told you.
Well, I've never found out about it.
No, you never found out about it.
So, never.
That's because you don't care enough to, to have a relationship that lasts long enough.
No, maybe not.
To find out whether that's going to be the case.
Problems with in-laws?
In-laws?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is this supposed to be, devastating?
Yeah, this is things that devastate
I've always
you.
had problems with in-laws.
Right, no, here's a great one.
By
Here's a great one for you.
Yeah.
Losing your home to fire or flood. Well, you lost your home in New York because of irresponsibility
I
with
lost
your
my home in New York
financial affairs.
because you walked away from it.
And then the flood one in Wiltshire, you managed to palm that off onto somebody else.
I managed to sell it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Amazing.
But it was terrible when it was actually being flooded.
Right, being victim of a physical attack.
Not really.
I haven't really been attacked.
No, not really.
No,
I mean, I've been punched a few times.
Yeah.
Mostly by women, funnily enough.
Yeah, well, I've been sort of threatened a few times.
I've never actually been hit. I've never been hit that many times by men.
No, well, I've been threatened a few times by aggrieved sort of
husbands.
Well, on one occasion, but no, usually aggrieved workers who thought that I was humiliating them by telling them they were useless in front of everybody else.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, you're lucky in a way that somebody hasn't killed you. Actually.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Yeah.
Right. Serious legal difficulties. Well, that can be a big problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've all had some of them.
Yeah, we've all had some of those.
You were sued by K80.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the prison sentence. No, I haven't had one of those yet.
Luckily, we've never had that.
No. The declaration of bankruptcy. Well,
Luckily,
I've thought my whole life trying to avoid that.
Well, have you ever come close to that? Have you ever come to the point where you've woken up one morning and gone, not from the point of view of losing everything, but from the point of view of sort of the American style one, where you go, in order to protect myself, I'm going to have to declare bankruptcy?
Well, no. I mean, you've had to take stock sometimes. The worst thing is when you've realised at the end of the first month, hang on, no more money's appeared in my bank account. Right. What's going on, Yeah. Right, financial or property loss. Well, we both suffered a bit of that, I'm afraid.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, this is a great one. Going on welfare benefits.
Right.
When I got sacked by a national newspaper once, I decided, look, just to protect myself, because you've got to pay national insurance and all that, I better go and register at the unemployment exchange.
I did exactly the same.
Yeah.
We must have been given the same advice.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. So I went along to this place in East London, and it was so dreadful.
Yeah.
I walked in, I stayed 3 minutes, and I saw the disgusting state of the great unwashed masses around me, and I left.
Who were there through no fault of their own.
No fault of their own, but I didn't want to be one of them.
I was exactly the same. Funny enough, it was my father who had said to me that I got fired by the Express.
Right, yeah.
And my father had said to me that he'd read a piece in the Sunday Times.
Yes.
That if you get fired, you should always sign on.
That's right.
In order to make sure that they pay your national insurance.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I got.
So I said, OK, well, I'll better go and do that then. And when I walked in there, and I had to go in Wiltshire, a similar experience to you, I thought, this place, what what a bunch of deadbeats around here. And, and that was including the people that were working behind the counter.
They were even worse. Yeah.
And but I sort of persevered, and so I started filling out these forms, and the guy was like, "So how long have you been out of work?" I said, "Well, I got fired, like last week."
Yeah.
Oh, I see. And do you have any savings? I said, "Well, they paid me, this amount of money to." And he kind of looked at me like I just landed from the moon.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And he said, "How much?"
Yes.
I said, "Well, they've paid me off. They had to pay me a year's money."
Yeah.
And he went, "Well, that's an awful lot of money." And he said, "Why are you here?" I said, "Well, I'm here because I was told I have to sign on in order to get my national insurance paid."
Yeah.
I said, "I don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't want any money from you.
That's right, yeah.
I just want to make sure that you're registered." He said, "Well, if you're going to be coming here, we'll have to ask you to make sure you're looking for work."
That's right.
And it became just a joke.
Well, also,
I had to go back there every 2 weeks,
Yeah.
tell them what jobs I'd be looking for.
That's right.
To which they had no understanding at all.
They said
and they have never gave me any money.
They said to me, the guy said, what is your salary expectation, your next job?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
And I said 85,000.
Right.
He said, what?
No, it was the same. It was ridiculous. And I mean, I went in one week and I said, he said, "Have you tried to get any jobs this week?" I said, "Yeah, I have actually." Yeah. I said, "I've written to a couple of people." And he said, "Oh, and how's that got?" I said, "Well, I got a very nice letter back actually from Paul Dacre at the Daily Mail.
Yes.
Who had sent me a very nice letter.
Right.
Which I'd brought in. I showed it to him. He had no idea he had no way of judging whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. He said, "So are you going to get a job at the Daily Mail?" I said, "Well, I don't know."
Yeah.
I said, "He's written me a very nice letter saying that, he understands that I'm very good at what I do." He said, "He doesn't have anything at the moment, but maybe I should call this guy." And the guy was like, "Well, how does this work?" I said, "Well, I ring this guy up. I go and have lunch with him.
Yeah.
We probably drink a fair amount. And at the end of it, he might say to me, 'Do you fancy coming in to do a shift?'"
Yes, that's right.
And that's what will happen.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
It was ridiculous.
I know, it's ridiculous. Anyway, let's move on from that.
Yeah.
It says here, going on to welfare benefits can be so stressful that, that can wreck your brain.
I'm sure that's true, by the way.
Yeah.
If you need to.
Yeah. Then the other ones, just a few left, are joining the armed forces, because you can come back with battle fatigue.
Yeah, or dead.
Yeah. Or experiencing some form of combat, even if it's verbal, with a neighbour.
Oh, yes.
Which can do you in.
Well, I'll tell you, that's true. That is true. I mean, if you have a situation at home where there's constant kind of needle between you and a neighbour, I imagine that can be
it's
quite
very wearing.
Debilitating.
And often it can be about whose parking space is
I mean, every
relevant.
night that I come back now to my place by the river, I'm looking out for that moron who told me I couldn't park in front of his apartment, which is on the first floor, because it was spoiling his view.
Absolutely.
And I'm always looking out for him. I've never seen him.
No, well, you keep looking out for him. But I tell you what, more and more people put out these kind of lists these days, just to frighten you in life and try and find out what's going on.
Yes.
And it does wear you down.
Luckily, I think, you and I are of a reasonably strong stock.
Sure.
And I'm not to diminish what other people's experiences have been.
Yeah, that's right.
But, you get made in Fleet Street and you get pretty tough, really,
that's right.
don't you?
That's right.
You get pretty well toughened up.
That's right. Now then, one thing you may never have considered, but I do, because I come from a Roman town, okay?
A Roman town?
Yeah, a Roman town, Chester, okay? I come from there.
Yes.
Now then, how did the Romans in those days, with minimal sort of equipment, manage to build their roads so straight between settlements? Because if you were coming out of London, because Watling Street is the famous road that goes from London to Chester, right? And if you were coming out of London and said, right, let's head for Diva, as it was in those days, Chester, if you got the road direction 1 degree wrong, you'd have ended up in Carlisle.
Did they go to Diva, as it was known, because it was there, or did they get to that place and then create it?
You've answered the question. The reason that the Roman roads are so straight is that when they invaded the country, they formed a hub. So it was Londinium, as famously recorded in the Guy Ritchie movie that got panned so badly, didn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, the Beckham film.
What the
lads down at
isn't that the
Londinium?
Robin Hood one? Or
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, not Robin Hood. Alfred the Great or something.
No, it was King Arthur.
King Arthur. That's right. Yeah. So what they did is they said, right, we're going to head to the northwest.
Yes.
So they would then take 4 battalions of Roman soldiers who would just march and build the road as they went.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
So they weren't actually heading for a place.
No, they created the place when they got there.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
That's right. Yeah, that's why
they did the same in Bath. I mean, if you go from, you basically go on the A4.
That's right.
It's a very straight road all the way down.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah, and they had no way except the stars at night to plan which way they were going. So it was very interesting that I found that in one of my journals of history, And I thought, well, that does answer a lot of questions. 'cause
Well, it does.
You can't build straight roads between two settlements 200 miles apart.
Well, maybe it's easier.
because you can't see them.
But maybe it's easier to build a road straight than it
Yeah.
is to build a road with
Yeah, of course
bends
it
in
is.
it.
Of course it is, yeah.
I mean, it's a very annoying road I go on all the time when I take the dog down to Bexhill.
Right.
And it goes, it's sort of like a snake.
Yes, okay,
And
yeah.
there's no reason for it.
No.
And I'm like, why did you build this road like this? Why don't you just build it straight?
Well, there's a road near me called the Zigzag.
Yeah.
And it always forms part of whatever cycle race is going on in this country.
Oh, yeah.
It's in Surrey. It's near Box Hill.
Oh, yes.
And it is literally a zigzag up and down the hill. You know, it's a very famous road.
Yes, I've seen it.
Yes, yes.
I've probably driven it, actually. We have not so much time for this hour, but
Yeah.
coming up in the next hour, we've got Ask Porky.
Yeah.
We've got more tweets and texts to read
Yeah.
out as well. This is TalkSport. This is TalkSport. We are the two mics. I'm just looking at a map here, Mr. Parry, and I can
Yep.
show it to you. All the lightning strikes seem to be in the south of the country.
Wow.
You might want to get in touch with your people down in Gosport
Yeah,
to make
exactly.
sure that your apartment has not been hit by lightning.
There's a lightning conductor on
In
the
any
top
way.
of that building, actually,
well,
so it's okay.
well, hopefully that'll be all right.
Yeah.
But it all seems to be basically on the south coast, all the
Yeah.
way down towards Devon.
Yeah.
A little bit going up towards the East Anglia.
That's right.
Norfolk,
Yeah.
that sort of way.
And I think you've
got
just
another
done
place up there.
I think you've just done. That's right. Yeah, around Ipswich. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I think you have just done your own special weather report. You've looked at the car park at the back of
I have.
Talksport Towers.
I have.
And the official report is
The official
bucketing
report is,
down.
it is bucketing down.
Yeah.
Luckily, my car is relatively... I just got it washed, of course. I mean, literally
Yeah.
yesterday.
Did you?
I took it and got
Yeah.
it washed because it needed washing.
Well, rain does make it dirty.
Well,
doesn't
it does if you drive in the rain.
Yeah, I suppose splashing around. That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I
it's
got
not
mine
good.
done last week as well. You're
Yeah.
right. Right now,
And
I've
Robin
got a...
says the storm knocked out my radio halfway through Heroes and Villains.
Is that right?
Who had the best? Well, the answer to that, Robin, is I had the best, but bizarrely, I was not awarded the victory.
No, I was.
Porky won, bizarrely, because I don't know why he won. I can't explain it. But,
I won because I had the better nominations.
And John says, what's up with these southerners? A bit of rain and it trends.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just a bit of rain, John. It's a massive thunderstorm.
Yes.
And there's a lot of flooding and there's an awful lot of people probably frightened.
That's right.
Because it's very noisy.
It is very noisy. Now, I've got a Scottish scandal story for you.
Have you?
Now, you're very well aware of the old Tunnocks...
Tunnocks tea cakes.
Tea cakes,
I
yeah.
certainly am aware.
Yeah, okay. And they're very Scottish, aren't they?
Well, they're kind of well known for being
Yeah,
Scottish. A
that's
lot of
right.
people, a lot of Scottish people actually think that Tunnocks tea cakes are the kind of quintessential Scottish thing.
That's right,
You know,
exactly.
And whenever they travel around the world, they
Yeah, the Japanese,
you can't
yeah.
call them that.
Yeah.
You can't call them Japanese.
Well, the Japanese then, yeah,
Yeah.
the Japanese. And
Why
so...
don't they like them?
And so, Tunnocks now is sending out special brands of their confectionery cakes to Japan.
Ah, Japan.
Yeah, with Union Jacks on them.
Why?
And,
What, to make out they're not Scottish?
Yes, that's right. Union Jack packaging. They're playing down the Caledonian roots, but they
Why?
feel that by trying to make it quintessentially British to sell more cakes and biscuits in Japan, they have been accused of betraying their Scottish heritage.
Well, I mean, I can understand why
Yeah.
people would accuse them of that. Because
Yeah.
the thing about Japan, I suppose, is a lot of Japanese tourists come to Britain. And so I don't imagine it would be a big problem to say this is British rather than Scottish.
That's right. What they're trying to do is, you see, they're not sort of saying to the people in Japan we're Scottish, but they realise there's an awful lot of Japanese tourists in London.
Yeah.
So recently you'll have seen on the London Underground a picture of a traditional Tunnocks tea cake and a title along the top, saying the Great British Tea Cake.
Yes.
Now, people have said, no,
that's
it's
not right, is it?
It's the Great Scottish Tea Cake.
Because that's not right.
Yeah.
I mean, you would not think of going to Fortnum and Mason's, for example, and asking for a Tunnocks tea cake. would
No,
you?
you wouldn't know. It also says, and this is even worse insult, the advert did not feature the Scottish line rampant, the company's symbol since it was founded in 1890.
Indeed.
Protesters have now picketed the factory, and activists have launched a social media campaign calling for shoppers to shun snowball tea cakes and caramel wafers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting fairly sick of these sort of social media campaigns. Are you not?
Yeah.
The fact that everybody has to rise up and boycott
That's
something.
right.
Because everybody's not doing what everybody's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, one guy has even posted an online feature showing him with a short-handled sledgehammer.
A short-handled sledgehammer?
Smashing boxes of Tunnocks biscuits until they're flattened and
Is it a Scotsman that's doing this?
Yeah, the contents are all smashed up inside.
That's ridiculous.
And one SNP member writes on Twitter, rebranding is one thing. What Tunnocks did was a brazen rejection of Scotland.
Oh, dear.
Bye-bye, Tunnocks. You know where you can shove your tea cakes.
Why are people so ridiculously intolerant?
Yeah, but guess
Why
what?
are they?
Guess what the result of that campaign in Scotland was?
What?
Sales rose by 10%.
Oh, yes, actually, I think I read about
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
So they're actually selling more
Yes.
as a result of betraying their roots.
That's right, yeah.
Selling more to Scottish people?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the packaging for each biscuit tin marked for Japan features a Union Jack, and boxes on them say "Made in Great Britain."
Are you partial to Tunnocks tea cakes
Not
or any
really.
of the other
Too
products?
messy on your teeth, I think.
Here's one from Matt says,
Yeah.
not keen on Tunnocks tea cakes, but I'm rather partial to a Tunnocks caramel wafer.
Yeah, I like Tunnocks caramel wafer.
I saw
Definitely.
a picture actually the other day of somebody sending out. There was a black cab that was driving around London, which was decked out. You know, some of them are painted.
Yes,
decked out as a Tunnocks caramel wafer.
Oh, really?
Which again is a fairly Scottish thing.
Yeah, it is very.
I was
Scottish,
quite surprised to see it.
Well, they could be trying to sell them to the Japs in this country.
Japanese.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, Alan Burnett, the company's export manager, says the new packaging had been created after the company secured orders to send almost 2 million biscuits to Japan. You would recognise it instantly as one of our products, he said. Last month we sent out a 40-foot container containing around 650,000 biscuits to Japan. We've arranged for another to go out in September and a further delivery for December.
Yes.
We're excited and delighted by how well things are going.
So everything's going well then?
Yeah, that's right.
So they're going well in Scotland, where the so-called betrayal has backfired.
Yeah.
And they're going well in Japan, where the Japanese think that they're British.
Yeah, that's right. The company have established a distribution deal in Okinawa Island.
Okinawa? Isn't that where the American base is?
US military base, quite right. 26,000 troops. Tunnocks products went on sale in big cities for the first time. No appetite for one of its best sellers. The Japanese do not like caramel wafers. It's a cultural thing.
Right.
Their metabolism doesn't suit it.
Okay.
Because we only sell one
Do you think we
product
spent
over
enough
there,
time on Tunnocks tea cakes,
which is the wafer cream. Hey?
Yeah. You think we might have spent enough time on Tunnocks tea cakes?
Well,
now?
yeah.
How about this from Craig? He says there's a cracking storm happening here now in Windsor, guys. You're right.
Yeah. What is the definition of a cracking storm?
Well,
is
I
that
imagine,
like thunder and lightning? Very, very frightening.
I imagine so.
Mamma mia, mamma
lightning
mia.
and lots of noise in Teddington.
Donald Blitzen.
Lots of noise in Teddington.
Yeah.
Actually...
Teddington, that's getting closer.
Kira says, not raining here in Wimblehampton, but very windy and muggy.
Yeah, I should imagine it is.
Yeah.
Windy and muggy.
And you know how we've been doing a thing asking people to tell us where they're listening to the show from?
Yeah.
There's a guy called Ravi who's listening to the show in Jaffna in Sri Lanka.
Oh, that's very good. Well done.
Which is rather nice.
Well done. Do you have loads of books littered around on the floor of your apartment?
Loads of books on the floor?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I do. I've got loads because I've run out of bookcases.
Well, why don't you just buy some more?
Well, because there's nowhere to put them against the wall. But funny enough...
You're not going to go and buy some of those Billy bookcases from IKEA? Like
I've got those. I've got about 4 of those.
I'll get some more.
Yeah, I should get some more. You put them on top of each other.
Yeah.
Anyway, it says, according to one of my consumer journals, the bookcase is back. 2 years ago, retailers were writing them off as e-readers and Kindles threatened book sales. However... Britain's desire to impress friends with their book collection, well, you see, I could do that. I've got a fantastic collection of books. And a switch to open plan living has revived interest in shelving.
Yeah, but you haven't read all the books that you've got in your place, have
No,
you?
I haven't read half of them.
No, so you shouldn't really show them off if you haven't read them.
No, I suppose not. People are even posting pictures of their book collections on social media under the hashtag Shelfie.
Really? Shelfie, very funny.
Yeah.
How many books would you say you've got?
Me?
Yeah. To the nearest 10.
To the nearest 10?
Yeah. Well, to the nearest 100, I don't know. How many you got?
I've got about...
I would say in my apartment, I've got about probably 120. Which is not a huge amount.
I've got about 650.
650?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
That's an awful lot of books.
Yeah, it is a lot of books, yeah.
Is that just in one place? Or in all the different places?
That would be in 3 rooms.
3? No, but I mean not in 3 different apartments, though.
Oh, no. That's in my place in Stockbroker-Belt.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my main sort of reso.
And what, would these be mostly books that you bought or mostly books that you were given?
Mostly books that I...
Or is it all Rooney Tunes?
Oh, no, not all Rooney Tunes, no. I always steal books from...
Steal?
You know, people who bring them in to be reviewed.
You steal books?
Well, I take them as a...
I thought you were sent a lot of them as well.
I'm sent a lot of them. Sent a lot, but sometimes if I'm walking around and I see one, I think, well, that's good. I'll take it with me.
Well, you steal it from here?
Oh, I never steal from here, no.
No, where do you steal from then?
Well, sometimes I go see publishing agents, and all you've got to do when you're in a publishing agent's office is say, "Oh, is that one of yours?" They say, "Yeah." Oh, have a copy, you know, and it's like that. You know, just go around collecting them like that. Yeah.
Shocking, that, really.
Not really.
What's your favourite book?
Of all time?
Yeah.
The Pillars of the Earth. I keep telling you this.
Well, yeah, but do you own it, though?
Yeah, I've got a big copy of that, yeah. Well, a favourite book to own, I think it would have to be...
Then maybe a coffee table book?
Well, do you know what I
the
love?
book that you look at the most,
Do you know the books I love? And I keep buying them when I wander around bookshops.
Yeah.
You get these coffee table-sized books of, football in the 50s and the 60s.
Right.
And the pictures are fantastic. You know, they show footballers
That's what I mean, like a book that you could pick up and look at.
That's right,
say, on a Sunday afternoon.
That's right. Footballers
leaf
in the
through.
communal bath, at Leighton Orient, in sort of 1958, all got cigarettes in their mouths and that kind of stuff, you know. 8 of them in a communal bath the size of the bath in my apartment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. Fans, with rattles and bobble hats and scarves going through turnstiles.
Well, those pictures of the
which are
vastness
rusty and
of
creaking.
the crowds.
Yes, that's right.
At
Vastness of the crowds,
Or Hampden or something like that.
Yeah.
Remarkable.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I like a picture book.
Yeah, I don't mind a picture book at all.
I would say my favourite books tend to be recipe books at the moment.
Yeah, well, I should think they are, because you're a bit partial to that, aren't you?
Also, they're very nicely put together.
Yeah.
They're usually including some lovely pictures of a place in time that you'd like to go and spend,
that's right,
spend some time in.
Yes, I agree.
But, talking of time, we're nearly out
And
of
of course, I've got about 60 books on the Beatles.
Have you?
Yeah.
60?
About another 40 on Everton.
Dear
Yeah,
God.
I have, yeah.
You're going to take those albums home today, aren't you?
Yes, I'm going to take the albums home today. Yeah.
Are you any closer to buying I'll ask you this actually when we come back. Are you closer to buying a record player?
Well, it's on the list.
Is it?
It's on the list of things to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is TalkSport.
Yeah.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mics. It's quite a funky little number, that, isn't it? Average white band.
Is that Average White Band?
Average White Band, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Do you remember the guy that used to come into Costello's, who was a member of the Average White Band?
No.
He was the I can't remember what his name was now, but he was married to a Scottish woman,
right?
Who was, because they're all Scottish, right?
Yeah.
Married to a Scottish woman who worked for the Star magazine, with red hair.
Okay,
remember
yeah.
her? Maybe not.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
They were still on 3rd Avenue at that time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I can't remember his name. I'll remember it because we should probably do it on the record. By the way, I should tell you, for those people who have been wondering what happened, we've been doing these on the record podcasts.
We have.
And when we first launched them, they went into quite high up in the comedy charts.
They did.
And they then got taken over by Audio Boom because they were quite pleased and impressed with the way that we would get getting so many downloads. Right, Audio Boom took them over. And suddenly they disappeared out of the comedy charts. And I suddenly thought to myself, this is a bit odd.
Yes.
Why have they gone?
Yes.
Because surely it doesn't mean that nobody's listening to them.
That's right.
And sure enough, the numbers keep going up and, it's all going terribly well. Turns out that by mistake, the guys at Audio Boom, and it's no, skin off our nose to tell people this.
No.
There's a human error took place and they, for some reason, inserted the podcast into the technology charts.
That's right.
And so they've been sitting there, and we are number
number three
in the technology charts.
That's right, yeah.
And the number one podcast in the technology charts, bizarrely, is something called the TED chart.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, the TED podcast, which is watched by or listened to by something like 500,000 people.
That's right.
Sorry, not 500,000, 500 million people.
500 million people, that's right, yeah.
So it's quite remarkable.
Yeah, no, I think it's fantastic.
So if you haven't listened to it yet, you should go to... you can find it any number of places, iTunes in particular.
Yes.
Just put in on Two Mics on the record.
That's right.
And you'll find it. We do a new one every Monday.
Excellent.
And it is going well.
Yeah, totally agree with you.
Yes.
Totally agree with you. Good.
So I just thought I'd explain that because a lot of people wondering, what on earth happened to it. If they go into the comedy chart, you can't find it.
Yes, that's right. No, absolutely. It's no problem at all. They are there. You can find it. Don't worry.
Yes.
Did you know there was a real Robin Hood?
What do you mean it's a real Robin Hood?
Well, I didn't realise, and considering that I went to university there, that Nottingham, the city, has an official Robin Hood.
Well, of course Robin Hood was a real guy.
No, they have an official Robin Hood these days. Walks around looking like Robin Hood.
What?
You know, that's what I mean. Yeah,
What you mean?
That's
the
his
guy
job.
who dresses up as Robin
Yeah,
Hood
that's his job. Yeah,
in Nottingham.
yeah. Now, the only reason I found this out was through a very tragic event.
Really?
Very sadly, his wife died of breast cancer last month, which is
dear.
very sad. The guy's name is Tim Pollard, right?
Okay.
And he's been Robin Hood the Outlaw for 22 years.
Really?
But the reason I found this out was with my connections with Nottingham is that £6,000 was raised for him on a fundraising page.
Okay.
Set up after, sadly, his wife died.
Like
of breast
GoFundMe
cancer.
or something
Yeah,
like that.
that's right, or something like
Well,
that.
where does he appear as Robin Hood, though?
Well, he prances around the town, I should imagine, you know, in leotard and
Really?
in a
Oh, is he
leotard
paid
and
to
tights.
do that?
Yes, that's his job. I mean, like in Chester, we employed a full-time oh yay guy,
Town crier.
and he'd stand on.
Well, yeah, but that's different.
He'd stand on the well, it's not really. He'd stand on the town cross, ring his bell 3 times a day, and announce the local news. And I think what Robin Hood does, you know, if you go to Butlins, there's like a guy called the Clown Camp.
I've never been to Butlins.
Sorry, the Camp Clown,
Yeah.
right? And what this guy does, he walks around all day dressed like a tramp and makes people laugh. Yeah, that's his job.
Well, yeah, but that's. I mean, how do you tell from all the other people who are at Butlins?
Well, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? I mean, dear me, you know, they're not of that low stock, you know, not the great
I'm not
unwashed, you know.
suggesting that, but you know.
Yeah. But no, when
Yeah, but
we
if
used
you're
to-
in a comedy,
Yeah.
comedy situation,
Yeah.
you're in a camp of some kind.
That's right.
Or you're the town crier. That's one thing. But you can't just impersonate Robin Hood.
Yeah,
and walk around as Robin Hood.
Well, he can. He'd be dressed probably in green with a little green pointed hat and
Yeah.
probably have a crossbow. Sorry, not a crossbow. That's William Tell.
Yeah.
Would have a bow and arrow slung across his
Yeah.
back, and he'd just walk around and.
So, what are you standing outside? What's the name of that Road to Jerusalem pub or something? Right.
The trip to old trip to Jerusalem.
The old trip to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
So you're standing outside there with a pint in your hand,
Yeah.
talking to your mate.
Yeah.
And some bloke turns up who looks like Robin Hood.
That's right. Robin Hood turns up.
He's
Yeah,
liable
that's
to
right.
get punched in the face. isn't
No, not really. No, people would warm to it and say, "Oh, you know, Robin Hood, Robin, good to see you again," you know, all that kind of stuff.
No,
and
I don't think so.
get in with the spirit of things, you know.
he? I don't think they would.
The town crier guy, I mean, he was amazing, you know. Oh yay, oh yay,
Why
oh
didn't
yay,
people just buy the Chester Chronicle?
ringing his bell? Well, he did. They bought that in addition to listening to the town crier.
Yeah.
But I think it's great when people make more of their. Of their town for.
Well, there's
I saw that the Jane Austen town, wherever she was brought up in Yorkshire.
Jane Austen, yeah.
They have a Jane Austen festival.
Like Northanger Abbey and all that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, all of that. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Now, Ben says this, never mind tea cakes when the Japanese produced the Tokyo banana. Truly wonderful.
The Tokyo banana.
Yeah, and he
What
sent a
the heck is
picture
that?
in. And
Yeah.
the Tokyo banana is a Japanese sweet.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is the souvenir sweet of Tokyo and is manufactured and sold by the Grapestone Company.
Really?
Yeah. And what it is, it went on sale in 1991. The cream uses strained banana puree, and after baking, the sponge cake is steamed to bring out a soft texture.
Really?
And that's what it looks like. So it sort of looks like a banana, but
Right.
it's not made. It's like it's a sort of a chewy, spongy looking thing. I don't fancy it, but it looks.
No, I don't either.
I don't fancy that at all.
Yeah.
And here's one from Combat who says, I've got a Kindle, but for me, you'll never beat the smell or the feel of a book. I love second-hand bookshops.
Yeah, well, I like bookshops per se. I'm not sure about second-hand bookshops. I always wonder if there's worms in the books, you know,
What?
the old books.
Worms?
Well, like some of the covers are made of leather, you see, and they could.
You don't get worms in books, do you?
Yeah, you can. You can.
Oh, you mean as in bookworms?
Yes, that's right.
I
Yeah.
thought a bookworm was somebody who liked reading books.
Yes, he is, but I mean, it is a bit like woodworm. You know what I mean? They can get into the leather of these
Really?
old books. Yeah.
Andrew says, listening as I am driving through Beverly Hills in California, no storms here,
Yeah.
80 degrees and sunny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Nice to hear that.
Losty says, the camp clown at Butlins that walks around like a tramp making people laugh, is his name Mike Parry?
No. I tell you what, we used to have, when we used to go to Butlins Filey, which is in Yorkshire, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know why my parents liked to go in there, but they did. And
Well, it's
Bethel.
near enough to where you were
Yeah,
living,
it's
I
not
suppose.
bad. Yeah, it's in the north of England. And there's a camp clown there called Johnny.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody
Here's
thought...
Johnny.
Here's Johnny. And everybody thought he was just a clown. And then my father found out he was actually a university lecturer who did it as a summer job.
Oh, yeah.
And he then got massive respect for this man, you know, because he was a...
Why?
Well, because he said...
Well, because your father was a snob.
Yes, a bit of a snob,
Yeah.
yeah. And he's a lecturer and, you know, we should all pay him great respect
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But that was his job.
They don't still have that, surely, do they?
I think they do, yeah, I think they
If
do.
you go to Butlins,
Well, they still have the red coats, don't they?
Wasn't it? Who was it from here that went to Butlins for his stag do? Was it Ross, wasn't it?
I think it was Ross.
He
Yeah, I
went
think
to-
it was
did he not
Ross. He
go
went
to the Butlins in Minehead or
Minehead,
something?
that's the one, yeah, certainly in Devon.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Somerset.
Yeah. Now then...
Northern Somerset.
Somerset.
We're nearly out of time, by the way.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
time for the Porky quiz.
I know,
but
but
Ask Porky.
Yeah, do you not think that downtrodden men are, what the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
They are shown in adverts to be hopeless at everything domestic.
Oh,
you know
this
what
is
I mean?
this new business of banning adverts because
That's
they're so
right.
ridiculously able to influence children.
Yeah, meant to be spared advert sexism.
Yeah.
Downtrodden men, salvation is upon you. You may not even realise you're being oppressed, but soon will be offered the same chance to be offended as everybody else. Deliverance in the unlikely form of Advertising Standards Authority new guidelines which announce a crackdown on gender stereotyping. No longer will advertisers be allowed to mock men's ability to work a washing machine or get the children to school on time, nor will they be able to suggest that men are more likely to take out the rubbish or start wars.
It's rubbish, isn't it?
Misconceived notions reinforce and perpetuate traditional gender roles and lead to...
Who are these idiots?
Yeah, listen to this. And lead to suboptimal outcomes for individuals and groups in terms of their professional attainment and personal development, says the advertising watchdog.
Suboptimal? Suboptimal?
Yes,
What does that mean?
I don't know. I've never seen the word before. It's spelled S-U-B-O-P-T-I-M-A-L.
Yeah.
I have no idea in the world what it means.
What they mean is, disappointing outcome.
Yes, that's
it
right.
might not have worked out the way you wanted. I said this to
Yeah.
somebody the other day, yesterday, I think it was when I was talking about this.
Yeah.
I said, because, of course, when I get my children in the house,
Yeah.
what I say to them is, whatever you do, make sure you watch all the adverts, because that's what life is like.
Yes.
I mean, that's what no parent ever says to their kids.
No, exactly.
Everybody knows that adverts are not real.
Yes.
Everybody knows that they're actors. Everybody knows that they are trying to flog you something.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. I agree.
Absolutely incredible.
I agree.
I think there's only one answer to it, and it may well be that we will find that answer in Ask Porky.
Okay.
It's coming next on
Coming up
TalkSport.
next.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
The pressure's on now.
Relieve the itch.
Up in the north of England, that doesn't seem to be happening, but nevertheless, you can all benefit from the wisdom and the wit of Mr. Mike Porky Parry. There's a lot of really, really good questions covering all sorts of areas. Shall we just get on with it?
Let's get on with it.
I urge you once again to be as concise as you can be.
Yes, I will be.
While being informative at the same time.
I will be.
How about this from Tom?
Yeah.
Hi, Mike and Mike. I'm turning 24 today. Does Porky have any sage advice cultivated over many decades to impart?
What I would say is that at 24, you're still very young, you've got loads of energy, so try and progress your life as fast as you possibly can, OK? Between the age of 24 and 30, I did extremely well in my profession. At 24, I was still really just a reporter on a local newspaper. By the time I was 30, I was the news editor of a national newspaper in Fleet Street, and that was a very, very rapid progress within my job. That's what you should achieve, because, believe me, those are the formative years, and when you've lost them and left them behind, don't look back and say you wasted them.
John says this on Facebook. Dear Porky, should I become vegan to help save the planet or carry on eating meat and wearing sheepskin slippers?
Well, it's entirely up to you. I mean, if you're going to go vegan just to save the planet, forget it. It's rubbish, because one person individually and on a planet with 5 billion people cannot influence the course of climate change or anything else. You should do what you feel most comfortable in your own skin in, i.e., if you like eating vegan stuff, do it. If you don't like eating vegan stuff, don't do it. But don't do it just for show and to impress people, because you're living a lie.
Murray says this. Should I drop out of university to join the Royal Air Force?
That's entirely up to you. I don't know what you're doing at university. A lot of people go to university with sponsorships from the military, including the Royal Air Force. But if you think you have a future as a pilot and you can do it with the Royal Air Force, I would do it. It's one of the most glamorous jobs in the world. But otherwise, I think for safety and security of your future, you should stick to university.
Paul says this. Have you lost a lot of weight, Porky? You're looking better for it, mate. Please give me your dieting secrets.
Well, I have lost a bit of weight. I've lost 2 stone, actually, in about the last couple of months. I'm not sure why. And I thought I'd better go to the doctor and find out, because I do suffer from dehydration in this very hot weather. I find myself getting up, half a dozen times a night, to get water or orange juice or Coca-Cola or something like that, just to try and rehydrate. And I don't know if that's anything to do with relation to the weight loss. And I've also had blurred vision recently, so I'm going to get myself checked out. Yes.
Blimey.
Yes.
Here's one from two Mikes who say, what was your first ever owned property? Where was it? Can you remember how much it cost? And what would it be worth now?
Yeah, it was a 2-bedroom, semi-detached house in Sale next to Altrincham in Cheshire when I worked for the Daily Express. I bought it for $19,100 and sold it for $20,100 the following year when I got transferred to London. And
just £1,000 property. I suppose £1,000 was quite a lot in those days.
It was 10%. It was a 5%, and I learnt from then on that you could pick up property pretty cheaply and go back to London. I never sold a property again. Yeah.
Ross says this: Porky, myself and 6 friends who are season ticket holders together at Newcastle are wondering if you will be partaking in blooderation at the Shark Bar before Newcastle versus Everton this season.
Well, I'd very much like to. I've looked at that fixture. It's usually over Christmas, New Year, but I don't think it is this year. It'd be great to get up there. I do love the Shark Bar. I love Newcastle as a centre, as a town. Love the people there, Geordieland. And if I can get up to that game, I certainly will. I will accept your invitation if we can facilitate it.
Hamid says, Porky has issues with rewarding failure. I was wondering what his thoughts are on parachute payments when relegated.
My thoughts on that are that it makes it too easy to accept relegation, if you see what I mean, from the boardroom downwards. Because if the boardroom say we're not spending any money on transfers and we get 50 million quid when we go down, that can be an incentive, really, to be a yo-yo club, which a lot of clubs have been. I do think they need revising. I think rewarding failure is bad.
Yes. Abby always says, how much should I spend on an engagement ring?
Well, that depends on how much your salary is, what your girlfriend's expectations are, and, frankly, what you put on the worth of your relationship. I mean, I once bought an eternity ring for a young lady. It cost 10 quid.
Oh, yeah.
Mind you, I was 17 at the time, you know what I mean? And
for eternity?
Yeah.
Tenner.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. So it's entirely up to yourself.
There's not because, in America, they used to have a sort of a calculator that you would work out how many weeks' wages you should spend on an engagement.
Right, yeah.
In this country, we don't really do that.
No, we don't really do that. It's all a matter of conscience and what your girlfriend... My feeling about jewellery is that unless you're a very experienced eye, you can't tell whether it's a class piece of jewellery or a bit of paste. So I wouldn't waste a lot of money on it, frankly.
OK.
Yeah.
Here's one from NG. He says, your schedule is playing with my mind. I don't know where I am. Should I take my 40 grams of Prozac or keep to 20 grams in these troubled times?
I would never encourage people to take drugs to sort of control their mind or their nervous system or something like that. And Prozac, I think, can be contagious. It's not contagious. That's not the word I'm looking for.
Addictive.
Addictive,
yes.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. It could be contagious as well.
Yeah, it could be. But as for our times, well, we can't help you. I'm afraid we're subject to scheduling and schedulers, same as everybody else. And we'll let you know as soon as we can what we're doing.
Jeffrey says, Dear Porky, as the resident TV reviewer, what is the best and worst TV programme you have ever seen?
The best TV programme I've ever seen is Peaky Blinders.
OK.
I know that's very recent, and I've been watching programmes for 50 years now, but that's the one that makes the most impact on me. The Sweeney was a brilliant programme. I mean, I've watched that over and over again now, and it waters it down a bit. But when it first came out, it was revolutionary. The worst TV programmes I've ever seen are, dull, drawn-out, long dramas. And I think,
what was that one that people... Was it Wolf Hall?
Yeah, Wolf Hall, I was about to say. And
I
think Wolf Hall is a perfect example of a lavish historical drama where you couldn't make sense, or reason out of any of the ridiculous plots and the way people spoke. Definitely one of the worst.
Scott says this, Hi Porky, will Jordan Pickford become an all-time Everton great, even surpassing bin man turned goalkeeper Neville Southall's achievements?
Nobody will ever surpass Neville Southall and what he did. You've got to find yourself 2 Premier League titles first and an FA Cup and a Cup Winners' Cup to get anywhere near Big Nev. But I think he'll be a very, very good goalkeeper. He looks baby-faced to me, and so it doesn't give me a lot of confidence when I look at him and think, oh, you're a solid man. But his performances belie the baby-facedness. He's going to be great.
So far, so good. Red Magic says, what's your favourite seaside British town you've ever visited on your holidays?
I think that would have to be Torquay because of the times. I was a young kid, went down to Torquay, expecting to meet a lot of young women and drink a lot of booze, which is exactly what we did. It was very thrilling indeed. These days, being a bit older, I'd have to say it's Bournemouth.
Matt says in a football question, excluding 1966, which World Cup has been the best and why?
Well, I attended the World Cup in Italy, 1990, when England got to the semi-finals. Yeah, Italia 90. So that was pretty thrilling. I've also did South Africa and Germany, both very good. But in terms of the biggest impact, it has to be Italy because England got to the semis.
Wasn't Italia 90 as well the one where Italy got to the final and there was due to be, I think I'm right in saying this, there was due to be a Rolling Stones concert in the middle of Turin,
right.
and they had to cancel it because it was on the same night as the World Cup final.
Okay.
And they thought if we played the Rolling Stones, if the Rolling Stones played the show same night, because Italy were in the World Cup final,
that's right.
nobody would have gone to the gig.
Nobody would have gone to the gig.
Because everyone was watching the football.
Yeah. I wasn't aware of that, but I'll take your word for it.
I think that's true.
Okay.
Here's this from Gareth. Porky, which film best describes your life and why? I'm thinking Shawshank Redemption.
No, because I've never been locked up. I couldn't bear to be locked up for something I hadn't done, let alone for something I had done. And it wasn't that. No, I think best film's got to be the... What was the question again?
Which film best describes your life and why?
Well, I think Godfather 2, because that's the rise of... I know it's not a particularly legal profession, but being a gangster in those days was what people did, and Michael Corleone rose from the ranks to be the Don of Dons. And that, to me, is a great career advancement story.
OK. Stuart says, Dear Porky, I'm currently selling a large swathe of my model collection on an internet auction site to free up space at home. He doesn't say what models. I collected them over 20 years and it is doing better than expected. It's my anniversary in a fortnight. Should I splash the cash on a sumptuous anniversary weekend or keep quiet, buy more models and take her to somewhere cheap?
Well, we don't know what sort of models you're talking about.
I assume he's talking about cars or trains
or aeroplanes or something like that. Yeah. And glad that you've derived great pleasure collecting them over the years. If there's an anniversary coming up, it's a significant one, then of course you should splash out because you've got to make life different. Otherwise, we all get into a rut and it becomes mundane.
Yes. Ragnar says, what was your favourite subject at school, Porky, and why?
History, because I've always loved history, and I've loved the history of this country, and I love the historical nature of how life today is put together from the happenings of the past. I really I love things like Poldark, when you see it on the telly, because I just love the way our country's grown up and developed over the decades and centuries.
I watched a bit of Poldark this weekend.
Yes.
Oh, it's a load of rubbish, that show.
No, it's good.
Absolutely awful.
It's good.
Here's one from Lloyd. Yo, Porky, it seems Leeds are to get your centre-half Matthew Pennington on loan for the season.
Yes.
Will he adapt to the Championship?
Well, I'm sure he will. I mean, he's a good lad and he's got a big future, and Mr. Koeman's wisdom and knowledge indicates that he thinks he's going to benefit from playing regularly every week in the league below. We all wish him luck.
OK. Simon says, Porky, as you know, the Open starts on Thursday and your pal Ian Poulter is playing. Seeing you're a man of the world, regarding fashion, what fashion tips could you give him for a good 4 days of golfing? P.S. Porky is in form and playing. He's well worth a bet to finish in the top 10.
Yeah, OK. Pouls doesn't need my advice on fashion. He actually has his own fashion range. He's given me a pair of his... blue tartan shorts, which I wear on regular occasions in the summer. I will leave it to Pouls.
OK. Claire says, Porky, I've dyed my hair tonight using a different brand to the usual one, and it's turned out a little more yellow than I want, not my usual blonde. Yeah. Would you A, hibernate for a week until it tones down, B, wear a hat for a while, or C, embrace it and show it off?
No, embrace it and show it off, of course, because it's something different. And, I like people who express themselves individually. I was never one of these people during the punk era who went around, disgusting, unwashed people. I like people to express themselves individually, and actually some of the punk designs that you saw over the years were extremely skillfully put together, ridiculous haircuts,
like
Mohicans and that sort of stuff. But nevertheless, great attention was paid to them.
Muad says, tomorrow's my first day at McDonald's. I'm only 16 years old. It's my first ever day job. Have you got any tips?
Yeah, apply yourself to your job and you'll rise up through the ranks very quickly indeed. So Terence Leahy, who was once the most powerful grocer in the world, at the head of Tesco, chief executive, started off stacking shelves. Apply yourself to your job and you could be running McDonald's in Europe within 10 years.
Now, this is an unfair one because you've stoked this particular fire.
Right.
Mark says, Mr. Porky, why does old MG hate Northerners so much?
Well, I don't know, really.
Well.
He gets this nosebleed effect when he goes outside of the M25
Incorrect.
heading
Rubbish.
north. And it's often very rude to northern people when we go and do shows in
That's
places like Liverpool and Manchester. And they know him, they've got the measure of him. But I think it must have been some sort of childhood problem he must have had with somebody at school who's a bit northern, a bit brighter than him. That's all I can suggest.
I didn't go to school with any Northerners. I went to school in London.
Yeah, I know, but there could have been Northerners there who immigrated from the north.
No, incorrect. There were no Northerners at my school. And I have no problem with Northerners. As anybody will tell you who has been to any of our live shows up and down the country, I treat everybody the same.
Yes.
That was Ask Porky. More coming up same time next week. This is Talk Sport.
Yep.
The Two Mikes, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
But baby, you and I are not the same. You say you like this
Sport, we are the two mics. Coming up tomorrow, a bit of Porky Vision, Mr. Parry, and possibly maybe some listography as well.
Listography,
and maybe a Postman Pork. We haven't had a Postman Pork for a while.
Now, we've got some Postman Pork mail here, but I want some more, please. So can I just remind you of the address, please?
Go on.
It is Postman Pork.
Yes.
Talk Sport.
Yes.
18. That's 18. Hatfields.
Yes.
Hatfields.
One word, right?
Yeah, all one word. Hatfields, 18 Hatfields, London, SE1 8DJ. We love hearing from our listeners, our millions of listeners around the world. Okay. So please send us a missive here to TalkSport, and we may get it up on air for you next time we do a Postman Pork, probably towards the end of this week.
Okay, now a couple of quick announcements to make for you. Coochie has sent this in. Hi, MG, says, any chance of a shout-out for our little girl, Ellie, who is 6 on Wednesday, if you get a chance.
Ellie, 6 on Wednesday?
Yeah, which is now, today.
It is indeed, Ellie. Well, you're probably not up yet, my love, but you will listen to the podcast.
She might be listening to the podcast, yeah.
She might be. Yeah. And just want to say, Ellie, 6 today, wonderful age to be. Have a very happy birthday and have a great life.
Now, I've got this one here from Naomi, which was actually sent on Monday, but we haven't done a show since Sunday, so this is the first opportunity. She says this, and I'm going to read out quite a lot of it because it's rather good. Yeah. Naomi says, hi, guys. I don't know if this is doable or not, but I thought it was worth a shot. It's my boyfriend's 22nd birthday on the 18th of July, which was yesterday.
Yes.
And it would make his absolute world if I could surprise him with some sort of birthday shout-out from the two mics. His name is Danny Miller, and we live in Liverpool.
Right.
She says he listens to the podcast every day. He loves it in the car, at the gym, before bed. There isn't a day that goes by where I don't hear Porky and MG shouting at each other.
Right.
He may have even roped me into liking it.
Okay, that's great.
And then she says, like I said, I'm not sure if this is a thing, but I would gain some major girlfriend points if it's possible. Thank you very much in advance.
And her boyfriend's name is?
Her boyfriend's name is Danny Miller.
Danny, okay, and it's 22, is it?
It's 22, but it was technically yesterday, but we weren't on yesterday, so we can't really help that.
Okay, Danny, well, 22 is a fine age, my boy. It's 1 year after 21. You get the key to the door at 21. At 22, you're on your own and making your way in life. Do not waste your 20s, honestly. I think people should have an accelerator on their life in the 20s.
An accelerator?
Yeah, so that by the time they're 30, they are well positioned to, to develop their lives into a proper career. But you've got to do a lot of hard work to be done in the 20s, and I hope that you're able to get on with it, and best of luck in the future with your relationship with your girlfriend, who clearly is very fond of you.
Very dedicated.
Sent us this message.
Yes, it's very, very much true. And one final one from Samantha, who says, can I get a shout out for my boyfriend? He's George from Bristol, and it's his birthday tomorrow, brackets Wednesday.
Right.
He listens to your podcast every day. He said he's looking forward to going out for some bladderation in the evening.
Okay.
And that's from Sam.
Okay, George, well, I just want to say to you, very happy birthday, my boy. Old, is he 23?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, have a great day, have a great life, have a great...
Doesn't actually say how old he is.
Career, but most of all...
Career.
Most of all, have a great day, and remember, it's Bladdo in Moddo.
There we are.
Yeah.
So a lot of people listen to us and like to get little birthday shout-outs. And some people say, well, why do you keep doing these birthday shout-outs? It's not what the show should be. We don't do an awful lot of them. We just do occasional ones.
No.
When it kind of takes our fancy, really.
Yeah. I'll tell you what's worrying me, by the way, getting serious for a minute.
Yeah.
All these people going around throwing acid at it in other people's faces.
It seems as well that the people doing it are very young.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to kind of understand. I was talking to my daughter about this last night, and she was like, I've got to the point where when you're a bit younger, you kind of don't want anybody to steal anything from you.
No.
She's like, somebody wants to take my phone, I'm just going to hand it to them.
Yes.
I don't want somebody throwing acid in my face and being, ruining the rest of my world, the rest of my life.
Yes.
For the sake of holding on to a wallet, or holding on to an iPad, or holding on to a phone.
Yeah, but quite often these are just revenge attacks for people who feel slighted by somebody else. Yeah. It's horrendous. And the reason they take acid is you can take it in a child's drink bottle, whereas you don't...
but why would you, though?
Well, people do, because if you carry a knife or a gun, you can be prosecuted.
Yeah.
You can't be prosecuted for carrying acid in a child's bottle.
No, I suppose not, but I mean, they're obviously going to have to get a lot harder. There was a big demo yesterday from all these guys who are like delivery drivers.
Yes, that's right.
Saying, we don't wish to have our moped stolen, and we don't wish to have acid thrown in our faces.
No, exactly.
But it's another one of these crimes that you can't really protect against.
No, but it's horrendous. I mean, what I can't get into my head is the mindset of a human being who thinks they can throw acid in somebody else's face and blind them and...
just for the sake of stealing a moped.
Yeah, disfigure them and scar them. I think it's disgusting, and to be in a world that raises people like that makes me feel very sad indeed.
It does. Yeah. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Here's one from Mathieu, who says, morning, Porky has just said one man cannot make a difference. What about Jesus, the Dalai Lama, Martin Luther King,
Yeah.
and, of course, Porky.
Yeah, but could I just say that there weren't as many people around in the world in the days when Jesus was making his mark on life.
Well, there weren't as many, but
No.
there were still plenty of people
Very
around.
few indeed.
What do you mean, very few?
Well, compared to the population of the Earth today, there was hardly anybody there, so I wouldn't worry about that.
Matt says, the book The Pillars of the Earth that Porky talks about, is it the one by Ken Follett?
Yes, it is.
Indeed.
And it's a fantastic historical novel because it teaches me that people in those days were just the same as we are today, except they lived in a different era and different customs and practices, but they were human beings.
Now,
and they had jealousies and they had, sort of...
all the normal
loves
human emotions.
And, yeah, that's right, and likes and dislikes and all that kind of stuff, yeah.
Ben says this, MG, Italy finished 4th in 1990, is that right? I don't know if they did.
Yeah, 4th, yeah.
Argentina, Germany was the final. Stones concert may have been the day of the third-place game.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was. Maybe it was a semi-final or something.
Right.
I don't know.
That's right.
All I know is that they apparently had to cancel the show.
That's right.
I wouldn't have thought it'd be for third place. It'd probably be more likely to be a semi-final.
That's right.
And how about this from Stu?
Yeah.
Who says, I'm enjoying the show here from Edmonton in Canada. I just served my divorce papers on my planked wife.
Oh, dear.
Please wish me congratulations.
Well, we can't go around calling people's wives planks, so we withdraw that. But
well, you can if you like. I mean, we didn't call them that. He did.
No, I know. But it's very sorry to hear that you've had a domestic dispute there, and it's going to be the breakup of a relationship. So I wish you both the best.
What have you turned into Mother Teresa?
Yeah,
something?
that's right. A bit like that. Yeah.
What's happened to you?
Yeah. Well, I do.
Right.
Now then, some of the.
I'm a bit worried about you. I think you've become slightly less sort of spiky. You've become slightly
I may have
more,
become slightly unhinged.
You have. Why?
Well, because...
Why have you become unhinged?
Well, because, the working schedules that we have to juggle these days are so intense.
Well, so you're admitting that you may have become unhinged as a result?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Well, what are you going to do about it?
Well,
you can't just walk around being unhinged.
No, I know. No,
You'll have to find a solution.
I did say that I might go and see a doctor quite soon.
Really?
But that's for physical
okay.
problems. But I'm going
You're
to
not
ask
going to
him.
see a psychiatrist?
Yeah, no. I'm going to see a psychiatrist.
Why
Most
not?
psychiatrists I've ever met are far more mad than the people they treat.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they can't treat you.
Well, who knows?
Well.
Look, I want to put to you some of these great expressions we have about the weather, since we're talking about the weather.
Yeah. We get big storms going on.
Yeah, that's right. Red sky at night, shepherd's delight. Okay, I've been doing a bit of research on these.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that idea is that a pink sunset signifies good weather the next day, okay?
Yes. I always remember Morecambe and Wise when they said red sky at night means the shepherd's house is on fire.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Now, high pressure tends to lead to good weather. High pressure traps dust and dirt in the air, which scatters blue light only, leaving the red light remaining, hence the reddish appearance of the sky.
Oh, yeah.
So that, in fact, is red sky at night is a true expression.
Yes.
The next one, it can be too cold to snow. Now, a lot of people in a survey, 49%, said, oh, yeah, that's absolutely true. In Britain, it gets too cold to snow sometimes, which is utter rubbish. Because
well,
the
it's
reason,
not, is it?
It is, yeah. Yeah.
Isn't it the case that there can be sort of situations where the best conditions for snow are when it's sort of warming up towards just below freezing.
No.
And there's a lot of precipitation in the air.
No.
And if it's really cold, for example, like those very cold days in New York, blue sky,
that's right,
sunshine, no precipitation, it doesn't snow.
No, well, it's partly right. The thing is, it can be too cold to snow is a fact debunked by the experts. The colder the air gets, the less water vapour it carries, reducing the likelihood of snow.
Right.
However, there are many other contributing factors when it comes to whether it will snow or not.
Yes.
And it's unlikely we would experience temperatures cold enough to make it less likely to snow. It never gets that cold in this country.
Maybe not in this country, but certainly in other countries I've been in, I would say that's the case.
Yeah. Now, this is the big one that I keep telling you about. Cows lie down when it is about to rain.
I don't believe that.
Well, you see, 61% of people believe this to be an accurate way of forecasting rain, but the Met Office have issued a report saying it's false. They say there's no scientific backing for this at all. They insist cows lie down for a number of reasons, including just having a rest.
Yes.
And there is no evidence to suggest it's related to the likelihood of rain.
Yeah,
See,
because
that's not true. That's not true.
And also, how many times have you been, say, on a train or driving, and you can see the rain coming towards you, and you see the cows are standing, not sitting?
Yes, but they
lying.
do start to sit. The reason a cow lies down or sits down is it can feel the rain in the air. It's like a barometer. It's got a brain like a barometer.
You just said it's not true.
No, I've said that I do not believe the Met Office debunking it. I believe it to be true.
You believe it to be true?
Of course it's true.
That's not true.
The reason a cow lies down when it thinks rain is coming is so that the patch of ground on which it's lying is dry.
Incorrect.
And that if they
Why would a cow care if the land on which it is standing is wet or dry?
Because it's much more comfortable to lie down on dry land than wet land.
Yeah, but why would it be lying down, though?
Because they lie down to sleep.
No, they don't.
Yeah,
they
do.
sleep standing up.
No,
cows sleep standing up.
Not always.
I've told you that story of the people who used to do the cow tipping in America.
Yes.
And they would watch until the cows were asleep.
Yeah.
And they would run at them and shove them over.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because they sleep standing up.
Yeah. Sometimes they do, but they do like lying down. They have to lie down during the day to preserve their energy, and they don't like lying on. Well, you wouldn't like lying on a wet bed, wet mattress, would you?
But
they don't like lying on wet grass.
Yeah, but I mean, for example, if you're standing outside Waterloo Station, it starts raining. Yeah. You don't go, I better lie down so that I've got a bit of dry land to have.
Because you're on the move.
Myself.
You don't live in a field. Cows live in a field. And they want to protect the dryness of the ground beneath them so they feel more comfortable.
How can you believe that?
I know it to be true.
What else do you believe?
Well, why else do you think cows lie down then?
Why else do they lie down? I have no idea why they lie down.
Because they're tired and they want dry ground beneath them.
They do not lie down.
They do.
For any particular reason.
They do.
That's rubbish.
They do, I'm telling you.
Well, all right, we may have to explore this later because we're out of time.
Okay.
This is Talk Sport. Go for a lie down.
Yeah. Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne, podcast from the Two Mikes.
I'm a bit worried about you. I think you've become slightly less sort of spiky. You've become slightly
I may have
more,
become slightly unhinged.
You have why?
Well, because...
Why have you become unhinged?
Well, because, the working schedules that we have to juggle these days are so intense.
Well, so you're admitting that you may have become unhinged as a result?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Well, what are you going to do about it?
Well,
you can't just walk around being unhinged.
No, I know. No,
You'll have to find a solution.
No, I did say that I might go and see a doctor quite soon.
Really?
But that's for physical
problems,
but I'm going to ask him...
see a psychiatrist?
Yeah, no, I'm going to see a psychiatrist.
Why
Most
not?
psychiatrists I've ever met are far more mad than the people they treat. What I'm saying is a Tyrannosaurus Rex had wings, so it could swoop on it. Yeah, it did.
No, it didn't have wings.
It did.
That's a pterodactyl you're thinking of.
Oh, is it a pterodactyl? Okay.
Don't phone your mother. Phone Talk Sport.
Football on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Athletico Radio.
Talk Sport.
Did you know there was a real Robin Hood?